Welcome to season 47 of Spine Chill. We didn't have an intro. All right, hey everybody. Welcome to another thrilling season. We have a lot to discuss for you here today. What?
Why did you say that sarcastically?
I know it's supposed to pick up the...
Well, there's another thrilling season of Spine Chill.
It's gonna be a wild week.
Actually, they were believing it until just now when you planted the idea of sarcasm in their head.
You were cooking, dude. You were cooking.
I was
Spine
cooking.
Chill is thrilling.
Then
Spine thrilling.
Cinna went and turned the oven on.
Spine thrill.
Turned the
Spine
oven
thrill.
on.
Yeah.
Used to be spine chill. Now we're spine thrill.
Spine thrill.
I like this. We're not
Spine
chilling,
thrill.
we're thrilling.
Anyway,
What's up, chillers?
I'm your senior co-host, John Wolf. We have two other senior co-hosts here, Gary the Hot Cross and Sino Beats.
Hello.
I might get demoted if I keep chatting the way I'm chatting. I gotta be careful.
After the
You
kettle
got the
test.
quick mention that time, Sino.
I could use someone to hang out with me in the junior co-host lounge, bro. Like that'd be cool.
I'd rather be dead.
And we do
I
have
literally
one
believe
senior, or we have one junior co-host, but might have two junior co-hosts soon. But our current one is Doug, Running Man. Thank you for joining us once again.
Thanks for having me. Always a pleasure.
You're welcome.
You do realize you're not a guest anymore, right? Thank you
I
for
do.
having
I
me.
know, but it's like every day is a gift. Like well, every podcast is also a gift here. When you're a junior co-host, you always got 1 foot potentially out the door, depending on what you do.
1
or
foot in the
say.
grave, I get it. That's...
In the grave, true. I just
Yeah.
said door to be less cryptic, but now I'm fearing for my life. Thank you for that. No, it's like I'm just grateful for it being here. And I've been really sappy this whole time before we even recorded.
And that Sino is Doug climbing the branch.
Oh
No.
yeah, groveling his way up the branch by licking
Groveling,
the boots
no.
of his superiors. Ew.
No, superior.
Oh,
where?
Sino.
Where?
Point. Calling us the superiors. Sino's
Oh,
got a
okay,
point.
yeah. +1 branch for Sino.
See, I earned my high branch status by using the wings that the Lord gaveth me, my own talent, to fly up the branches, but Doug has to lick the boots and climb with his claws every branch.
Hey, you know what we talked about before we started recording? We talked about like our culture and how we grew up, and I put on my old American hard hat and my bootstraps, bro. I'm a climb. I'm a freedom. Pushing hard.
Freedom in America.
You do what you gotta do.
Pulling yourself up by
I'm
your
a
own
ladder.
bootstraps.
My bootstraps, bro.
Doug, are
If
you
you gotta lick
implying
some boots?
Are you implying
alright.
that you've climbed the tree through the American dream, and I've climbed the tree through nepotism, British nepotism?
I would say there is, certainly there could be a little nepo baby vibes.
You calling me a
coming from that
nepo
corner.
baby for the
I'm just
Spike
saying,
Chill podcast? Because I know
possibly.
John.
You had a little on
Hang
Jim
on.
before. I'm just saying, like, you
And
know,
me.
Well, obviously you're a nepo baby.
He
You're
literally
English.
just, wow, Gary. You hear how he disrespectful
I know, he just-
that way?
Gary,
I get it.
why would we
John's got more
tolerate you
subs.
unless you were just born lucky?
Born lucky.
Wow.
He's literally made a video game, bro. You don't luck your way into making video
That's it,
games.
Doug. That's how you climb a branch.
I'm falling down so many branches right now. I am in free fall.
Minus 3 branches, Sino Beats.
Yeah, I'm taking out the whole tree. The tree's on fire now.
The number of branches that you're on is like your Dead by Daylight MMR. It's hidden. You don't know where it is.
God.
Yeah.
Damn, I was literally just gonna ask you about my branches, so thank you for clearing that up. I'm glad that another part of my life is hidden behind a magic number that I'll never know anything about. That's great.
Yep. Yeah, your
It's like Dead by
co-host rating
Daylight.
is hidden, unfortunately.
Great. Cool. So again, like DBD, I have no true overarching purpose here. I'm just
Yes.
Cool.
The joys.
Well, we can talk. Are we going to talk about DVD today? Do we have plans? I don't know.
Yeah, we can talk about DVD. I
If
mean,
we talk
I
about
think
DVD, I got some things to say.
we can talk about book club. We can talk about what we've been up to this week and like what we've been playing and stuff. But I don't really have a whole lot else on the docket other than that.
Which is very, I mean,
Is there
you
a
should be
video
making
game
more of
now?
a song and dance and looking at the camera apparently more.
Yeah, right.
Oh,
Did
yes.
We,
Yes,
was
we
the intro
definitely
too?
should.
Was it too familiar? You guys, were we too friendly?
What do you think?
What
What do you think?
What do you think? You specifically. You know who?
Welcome to Spine Chill.
Welcome to Spine Chill. Do you feel part of the conversation?
Yeah.
There's 5 hosts.
Do you
in
feel
Spine Chill.
involved?
Do you feel involved?
First.
There's 5 hosts. Introducing our 5th co-host, you.
You. This is like actually making me uncomfortable.
Oh,
I'm actually weirded out.
I don't know.
Really weird now.
You.
Yeah.
Oh,
You're our 5th co-host. We agreed unanimously.
Say something funny.
dude, that is like.
That was not very funny. That was not very good.
You've lost a branch, 5th
He
co-host.
lost the new co-host lost a brand.
The fifth co-host.
Is the fifth co-host a junior co-host or?
No,
Oh,
they're
yeah.
senior.
No, they're just an associate co-host.
Okay.
Hang on. What about this? What about
Outrank
this?
somebody?
What about this? You're a guest on the Spine Chill podcast.
Yeah, I was a
You're
guest
a
for a
guest.
year. It's not so bad,
Frightening.
bro. You'll be all right. It'll
Yeah.
be fine.
You'll be all right.
You'll get used to it.
You'll be all right, son.
You'll survive this.
You're
Yeah.
gonna you're gonna survive.
You're stronger
fighter.
than this.
You are better than.
You know,
No,
for
we've
our
turned-
audio-only listeners, they're not going to get this bit at all. Because we're, like, looking at the cameras. They're not going to get that part of it. That's okay.
Okay.
Crazy eyes.
Sorry.
Just tell
Sorry.
audio, like crazy eyes.
Can I get some feedback from you guys on something that happened in the real world before we start talking about?
Oh,
Media.
okay.
I love your
Oh,
haircut.
Yes.
Thank
look-
you.
and you looked so good in black and white before the color picked up on the backstage thing. Like, you should get.
I was just a complete bastard to you both. You're both being very nice right now. I'm very
Yeah,
sorry.
well, I can't stop loving you.
Regret
man.
everything. So I had a really weird experience. Well, not really weird. I have a
Oh.
weird brain about something, and I want to ask you guys if you feel the same way. So sometimes, because of my weird Dracula-esque sleep pattern, because I basically have turned night into day and vice versa, sometimes in the morning, I go out and I have to like pick up a prescription or do some stupid little fucking adult chore, and I occasionally treat myself to a breakfast at this like local place because I'm lazy and it's nice when somebody else gets a little tea for you and they're like, how you doing, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
The help.
And recently, I only do it like twice a month. And recently, as I was paying for it, they were like, are you going to pay with cash or card? And I was like, I'll pay with card, please. And the guy responds, oh yeah, I forgot. You usually pay with card after you get like a breakfast. You said you were like a broadcaster or something? Immediately, I was like, oh no, he remembers me. I can never come back here again. I'm so embarrassed.
Yeah.
But that's not... Why do I think like that? Do you guys think like that? Do you feel
It's your-
ashamed?
So I
Ashamed-
have a
ashamed of what?
similar reaction, but I don't know if it's coming from the same place because I've
Okay.
been sometimes I'll go through like the Whataburger drive-through or
Oh, hell yeah.
you know go to some
top.
place, go to movie theater and somebody will recognize me. And they'll be like, "Are you John Wolfe?" And then I'll be like, "I can never come back here." And then I don't. Because I don't want to get recognized as like I come to this place often, which means I live nearby, which means you know you go down like the privacy rabbit hole there. So
Right.
Oh,
that's how
the
I think of
docs
it.
like
So
that.
that's kind of how I am with that stuff. But
You're
guessing it's not the same.
a big shot, so there's more of a
Well.
privacy concern.
yeah, I guess it's how I approach it. But yeah, I do have a similar reaction, but I guess for different reasons.
And so
For me,
why?
it's like-
yeah. Let me.
Oh, yeah,
get under the
sorry,
hood of
Doug.
that. Why? No, I was just gonna ask get under the hood of you a little bit, so no, and be like, why is because if you're not worried about privacy, then what is it that you? Why do you?
I
feel
just
that way?
for some reason I feel like weirdly ashamed. It's like, oh, I
Ashamed
come
of
in
what,
here and
though?
I get the same order every time, and you would think it was good customer service to remember a customer and be nice about it, right? But for some reason, when they remember me, I'm like, I've been perceived. Type
Oh,
of
So-
like you're no
so-
longer just a stranger amongst the rabble that you can blend in with. You're like somebody that they remember, and they can now all of a sudden they have
Yeah.
like instant access to speak to you anytime they talk
he's
to
like
you or see
he's that
you.
little guy that gets a breakfast and he works late as like a broadcaster or something. I'm like, maybe it's because whenever I got remembered in the past, it was at like a really bad fast food joint. So it's like
Mm.
they remember I get a double cheeseburger every time, and I'm like, I have too many of these double cheeseburgers. But do
Is it
you
like a
guys ever get that?
parasocial thing where you feel it feels like there's a power imbalance because like they know more about you and you don't know anything about them at all?
I think it's like, I think what it is, now that I'm thinking about it and you've asked that question, it's like me, my humdrum little life, where somebody knows I when I come in that I'm going to ask for the breakfast with the tea, and they know
Hmm.
about me, and I'm just like, ugh, I got to change it up. I got to do something about this.
Oh,
But I'm
Yeah, I love
wrong.
that. I love him.
That's a weird opinion to have, but it's just, I always feel ashamed.
Yeah, I'm gonna I would love that. I used to go to the same breakfast place like every day, like or every Saturday and Sunday. Sometimes I would go to the same. They closed down. It was a nice little cafe, and they knew what I wanted. I'd go in there. I'd sit on my own. They would just. The lady would come over. She had a really thick Scottish accent. Didn't really understand her most of the time, but she knew what I wanted, so it made life really easy. She would take and that would be what I would do on a Saturday morning. I used to love that. I recognized all the people in there because they all bunch of people that did the same thing, and we all nodded to each other. We didn't talk. They all spoke to each other. They knew I didn't really want to talk to them. There was like this mutual. It was nice. It was a nice thing.
Yes, I'd love it. I'm the same way. I'm the exact same way. Like for me, it would make it even more. I'd be like, if they remember me, I'd be like, wow. I'd be like touched that you remembered me. I'm like, oh man. I'm like, okay, that's pretty awesome.
That means you've
it would
impacted
make
their
me-
day.
and it's like a positive impact. 'Cause they're not gonna bring you up if they fucking hate you. They're not gonna be like, oh, that guy, the guy that comes in and like under tips and over orders and acts like a buffoon, right? They're not gonna remember that person and be like, oh, they're not gonna
Right.
make pleasantries, right? They're just gonna deal with you and like push you out. But like they're making pleasantries with you, it's because they have a positive association, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So to me, that would feel good. It'd feel
Your
like, oh,
polite, adorable, handsome face and wry smile probably made their day, and then they remember
and you are, and I want to be honest. When you started telling the story, I was like, that sounds adorable. Sinnoh is so cute. Like he's just gonna go down his little cafe and get his little breakfast, his little tea, and that's just great. That made me like brought me joy to hear you tell that story, and it probably brought that person joy too. I'm not saying you're bad for feeling that.
Lol,
way.
just kidding. Break the routine, Sinnoh. You've got a problem.
You loser! Wow.
You're boring.
You're
British
boring.
tea again.
You're
Fuck
fucking
off.
dull.
Yeah, because I think you guys are normal, and I think that's the normal response, and it's a nice thing. But there's a little thing in the part of my brain. It's like I need to be like the ending of Ghost World and get on a bus and disappear, and
Oh,
they'll
I
never
love
see
Ghost
me
World.
again.
Ghost World's one of my favourite films.
It's great. I
I've never
love
seen
it.
Ghost World.
I love that film.
Oh,
it's
I
one
like
of my favourites.
Ghost World. Yeah.
It's really weird.
Have you seen the
I love
graphic,
it.
or have you read the graphic novel as well?
No, I really want to.
She's more the titular character. Titular? That's not even correct because it's not. She's not called Ghost World. That would be titular.
Yeah, Ghost World.
Hi, I'm Ghost. The protagonist is like more of a dick in the graphic novels, which is what I like
Enid.
about Ghost World. Enid, yeah, because even though she's the protagonist and you kind of empathize with how alienated she feels by the world, she's kind of a dick, right? She's like Daria. Sometimes she's right, and sometimes it's like you're being overly harsh. But in the graphic novels, it's even more like, oh god, sometimes you really suck. But I love it. I love how, I don't know, it's not a very like feel good necessarily graphic novel or movie. It's like a bit weird, but that's why it's so good. Anyway, I'm getting on the bus and I'm going to disappear from this podcast now.
No, that's
perceived.
crazy. We need you here.
Do you go into a Twitch channel and get recognised occasionally and go, I can't come back here?
No, usually when I go into a Twitch channel, I'm like, ambassador badge.
Yeah, I was about to say you have your ambassador badge out, and you're like, hello.
When I get remembered,
Free
I
clout,
like it.
please. I'm just
I
weird.
gotta-
What
I
about
gotta- I
you,
gotta-
fifth host?
What about
Yes.
you? That's a good question.
Tell us everything. We'll give you time.
Do you like being remembered? Do you like,
Do you
being perceived?
Perceived?
You guys, you keep speaking over them.
Sorry.
You listen really close.
You hear a tiny little voice. It's like Horton hears a who out there.
I love how petty we are. We get one comment.
I know.
It's a weird
We're gonna-
comment.
The whole,
It's a weird
the whole
fucking
season,
thing to
the
say.
whole season is gonna be passive aggressive now because you fucking attacked our.
We
you
got-
attacked everything about the way that we are.
We got a comment that said that our podcast felt like they were just listening on some friends talking and they didn't feel included. So we're making a true effort this time to make you feel included. Is it working?
Are you included? Do you feel
How do
included?
Do you
how do
feel
you feel
included?
now?
Bring it in.
I can't do it.
Jerry, that's the zoom in.
I
dude.
can't do it. Like
I'm dying, bro.
I'm too uncomfortable. It's like my job to
Yeah.
stare into the camera, but if I stare into the camera like silently like that, I don't know.
I had a.
Our comment section's gonna hate us this week.
Ah, whatever.
I hope
It's not
so.
like
Give
they
us something
love
to
us
talk
every
about
week
next
or
time.
anything.
That's true, yeah.
Give us something new to talk about. Since we don't, DVDs,
Yeah,
DVDs
well-
boring, right? When there's not any major video game news to talk about. So
I would love it if the podcast turned into like every week we're just like, right, let's get into the comments. Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. It's just
the
like,
whole brand rebranded, dude.
Oh, we could do a section. Dumbest comment of the season.
Gosh.
oh no. Gary's Comp
Bad
Corner
behavior.
returns.
Here's Com Corner.
We could
bad
do one that's like the
behavior
best comment and the worst comment.
We could just
Oh,
highlight
yeah.
comments that were interesting, good or bad,
Yeah.
depending on the week. Because
Yeah.
I will say, last week I had some very personal opinions about my approach to DLC, and some people disagreed with me, but it was quite reasonable.
Mind blowing.
And I saw their points, and I appreciated
bit.
that.
Mhm.
I appreciate that because It's hard to disagree with people on the internet without it being like, and here's why you are the worst human being who's ever existed. Because you like Sonic Adventure 2.
It's a fine line, yeah.
People go pretty wild.
Well, especially in gaming, people are like immediately just the most socially maladjusted group of people on the internet. I mean, they just don't know how to talk to other people, so it's hard to talk about anything with them.
I mean, yeah,
Gary, stop cracking up over there. You could bounce off of things. That's how a podcast works.
Well, like all I'm thinking is like I just want to jump in and be like, gamers are the worst people in the world. That's all I want to add to it.
I mean,
I did a whole lecture on the course I used to teach on about how you're making video games for the worst group of people possible.
Right.
There's no one more entitled and shit with sharing their thoughts and opinions and being fair and objective than gamers.
Yeah.
Is that a real thing? That's like intellectually like a real thing, or I just assume
that's not like proven science that like gamers are the worst people in the world. But
I'm only
like it's pretty. Think about no one's like spending hours on the forums complaining about a hair dye they bought, you know,
or a character's jawline.
Yeah, like people lose their minds about video games. They can't let it go, and they have like the attacks that like a voice act. I've just been playing Resident Evil 4 again, like the remake, and all I can think now is the Ada situation where there was just a bunch of assholes going after her, like the voice actor. Gamers suck.
I wonder if it's because we experience so many gamers, but I think it's for me. I would say like my assumption is just people suck, like people in general. It's just like society.
Oh yeah.
It's just like we just deal with gamers because we're around gamers. But if we were like involved in another industry, we'd be like, oh, these are the worst people in the world. But I think it's just like I just wonder. But although I do agree because like you're right. Like I've never experienced the type of entitled like main character syndrome, like people that play video games.
The problem is everyone who plays video games thinks they understand how to design video games. So when I'm teaching back way when every single student that would come through the doors would think they know how to build the next big video game. There'd be these weird, awkward discussions where like I'm trying to get them to talk about game design and what they want to build, and they're really secretive of each other because they think they've got this brilliant idea about what they're going to build. And it's like I just have to explain to them, your idea sucks. Whatever you think you're going to build is shit. And the only way it's going to get better is by bouncing it off of people. Your idea sucks. You're not going to make... when I was studying, one of my classmates legit thought they were going to make Skyrim, but better. As a year 2 university student, they thought they had a better idea than Skyrim.
Just add multiplayer. Just add multiplayer to the game.
That's what I was thinking.
It's just people. It's like the people that think they can balance a multiplayer video game too. Like the people that want to balance ASIMs. The utopia that they envision is the game that they want to play, not the game that everyone wants to play. You know, there's probably some specific names we could draw up that have been notorious over the years for. I could fix this game. I know exactly what needs to be done to fix.
I'll sell them short straight away. All the people that thought they could balance Dead by Daylight didn't play VHS because they didn't actually want that. They just complain. They just think they know things, but they don't actually. You want to play a balanced asymmetrical game? Well, you didn't.
Yeah. I think that their idea of the balance is their perfect balance, which is it's balance for them.
Mm.
Yeah,
I want it to be for me.
A balanced game is a game that I win 100% of the time.
Yeah,
because I am the best at it.
I will say though that logic, Gary, it made me slightly soften my stance when I was younger. I used to be one of those people who, in their early 20s, because I grew up liking, quote unquote nerdy interests, I was one of those like sports ball type of people. Oh, here comes sports ball season. Because obviously I have to be a little unique snowflake and show that I'm against the, general mores of society.
I'm against the jocks.
Right.
Jocks versus the nerds.
Yeah. I don't like cool stuff.
They don't like me. I don't like them. Yeah.
And it's very frustrating because a lot of society has very obnoxious behavior that occurs because of sports fans. So I know what it's like to get on a Glasgow subway and like on a Sunday afternoon and all of the pissed middle-aged men who have just watched a sports game and drank too much are on the train and they're being really loud and very aggressive and it's scary. So I know that it sucks, but I am part of a community where most people's impression of the people in that community, gamers, are, ooh, like, look at these guys. They're terrible, right? And I think a lot of sports fans out there who don't get a lot of the limelight are pretty just decent. You know, they like their game. They don't engage in like super antisocial behavior. And yes, I do think calling out the antisocial behavior is very important, and it's important. Every community should do that. But sports fans, oh, they're all terrible. Not like me as a gamer, really. I don't know if I have a lot of ground to stand on, because like, look at a lot of gamers out there. They're also terrible. But if everybody was like, every person who's a gamer is terrible, I'd be like, well, what about me and my pals? We're all right. Right? Maybe?
Yeah. How about the Spine Show podcast?
I know what it's like to be in a terrible, terrible box.
What about our fifth co-host?
Yeah, what about you? Fifth.
Well,
You literally,
You're a
you
gamer.
specifically. Yeah.
So I call out the bad elements of being like a sports fan, but I bear in mind that there's plenty of sports fans out there who are actually very decent.
Oh yeah.
I like watching sports.
You go to an NFL game, 70,000 tickets get sold, right? There's not 70,000 people leaving the stadium and getting in bar fights, right? Like, there's like, you remember, and that's the thing is like, doesn't it tend in most like generalizations to be like the loudest voice is the one you remember? So like the big drunk loud guy on the bus is more memorable than the 20 people that just sat.
I think it's particularly difficult for me and Sino on that regard, because the British are pretty much notorious across Europe. Because what we do is a football game happens abroad and all the fans go over there and get pissed and then fight and get arrested, and they do it now. They do it when they come back here.
I mean,
like we have a very strange culture of just like, people love getting drunk and fighting from the UK. We're notorious across Europe for it.
Americans do that. They just don't go to another country to do it.
Yeah,
we do it
here.
at their home stadiums. Yeah.
In the US
on our soil.
American soil.
On our soil. Established 1776.
But I've heard in particular, it tends to be, they say the English, although I can't imagine Scottish fans are that much better behaved, but maybe. But I've heard like sometimes in Spain when there's like a big football game and all the English go over to like watch it, they're like, oh no, here comes the English. They're going to like get really drunk, they're going to piss and everything, they're going to fight each other, and they're going to be like absolutely unacceptable behavior wise. So
gamers just do that on Reddit instead.
Yeah,
they don't go to your country, they just do it on the internet.
Yeah, they'll just dox you for making a female video game character.
Yeah. How dare.
Yeah.
Woke.
What the hell is this woke BS?
So
do you guys see that there was like something on Twitter? It was like yesterday that it was going around of like this female video game character that had like a little bit of a jawline.
Oh, I did see that.
Yeah, and they were talking about how they like, it was like an example of wokeness. Like they were trying to make the woman look ugly because apparently that's more progressive or something like that. Everybody was dunking on him, of course. But it's just like, I feel like there's a story like that every like 2 or 3 days. I'm just like, really? This is what we're talking about in video games? It's a slow news day every day in video games, it feels like.
I feel like, they're just bored and they have to be offended by something.
Yeah.
And then there are the people that call
out there too.
And then they'll call everyone else a snowflake.
Oh, yeah. I know, it's so funny. You can't take it. You can't handle it. It's like, I'm just gonna turn off my phone now.
I'm gonna back away.
Yeah, I'm gonna back away slowly from you.
I think the one thing as well in particular is like the language, or like the mentality is very much like if somebody wants to put like, I don't know, a horny mod into like Stardew or whatever, and they're just like, yeah, this is just like the way that I like to play. You know what I mean? Or like, I like it when I can see the character's tits flopping about because I like boobs. It's like, oh, yeah, okay. I mean, it might be a little juvenile in some ways, but it's fine. But a lot of the time with these guys, it's like, I fixed that for you.
Yes,
I fixed the diversity where she has a jawline. You know?
Yeah.
And it's like, it has this kind of, they're taking this away from us, so that we're fixing it, as opposed to just like, I like tits, so I made it so you can see the tits. And it's like, oh, okay, well, if that's the way you like to play. So
I fixed it because the devs were too incompetent.
Right.
Not like me, a professional video game designer. Yeah.
I put this one scene from Pokemon into fucking Blender and made it 4K and overly shiny, and it has tons of motion blur. I fixed
Oh my
it.
God.
Fixed it, Nintendo.
Yeah.
I would love, because it's the tools are out there to make video games. All these like nerds that think they know better, go make a fucking video game.
You can do it.
You,
We
can
believe
do it.
in you.
it's fucking hard though making a video game. Fair warning, guys. Just a heads
Yeah.
up.
I don't want to do
You're
that.
gonna-
It looks
You'll be-
really hard.
Yeah, you'll be
Sounds
fucking
really
miserable once you're doing it.
But
Yeah.
because like, there's horny mods as well that are just like,
Did you guys see the DVD one?
Gale doesn't wear a shirt.
I saw.
DVD one?
There's like a viral clip of this DVD player playing Ada, but she's naked from the shoulders down to the knees.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's like a mod that they made that only they can see, no one else can see it. But they just modified the game for their character to be mostly naked.
Like,
Was that
Like I
drama in
said-
the DVD
I
circle?
mean, of course
yeah.
it was.
mm,
Oh,
of course.
It's,
'Cause I've
it's
muted
Dead by
near enough
Daylight, bro.
everything
You
now.
know how that's how it works. Like,
What was the drama?
Well, there's people that are upset about like just the simple fact of doing it, and then there's the people that are just upset about getting asked about it. Like people are upset that they're being asked about it.
Are they upset that because I'm kind of a sinner where it's like I don't really care what people do like their own game.
I mean, you can't stop it, right? People are gonna modify games on their own, and so like I guess the best you can do is ignore it and not engage with it.
Yeah, just ignore it. Like, isn't there like porn that people make of like 3D video game characters?
Sure, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Rule
Like,
34,
just-
right?
Overwatch.
Yeah. Well, no, like there's Overwatch porn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like
of course.
you're gonna get upset
I mean,
about someone modding
I've
their
never,
game.
I've never
like-
seen any of it, but I've heard that it's out there. Yeah.
I know, yeah. Isn't there
No, no,
like porn, or is that what you call it?
Is
I think it's like
porn?
is it like people are like naked, or am I getting that right?
Yeah, there's
Describing
loads
porn
of video
accurately?
game porn, like Lara Croft, fucking Geralt of Rivia. You know, there's people doing shit all the time.
Yeah.
Because I modded before it was available in Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I modded it so that Johnny was shirtless, primarily to do it to try and make people click on my stream on Twitch. But
Yeah.
it was like
Sure.
at one point somebody brought up that there was other mods that you can do, and one of them was you could turn Connie into Hatsune Miku. And the
Is that
problem with
is that the anime blue head?
the Vocaloid?
That's
yes.
the Vocaloid, yeah.
Vocaloid
Okay,
girl.
yeah.
And the problem with that is it was extremely obvious if she was hiding in a bush because she had really bright blue pigtails that would flop around everywhere. So I was like, okay,
Well,
when
you
I'm
said,
playing as
right?
Johnny without a shirt on, there isn't much that changes. It's like I can see myself better. Who cares, right? Like I'm looking at my character anyway. But with that, I was like, I'm getting a gameplay advantage, so I'm not going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But as long as it's not like gross or like, well, as long as it's not hateful or bigoted,
Right, yeah, yeah.
and it's not
obviously.
like I'm fixing her or whatever because
Yeah.
she's ugly and I fixed her, then I'm like,
I think you're free to do with your copy of a video game what you want, but like, am I gonna hang out with you when I see you running around as naked Ada? Probably not.
No, I'm
I think
gonna.
my standard for people I talk to is a little bit higher than what you're going to end up being, but that's their business though.
a tad juvenile. Yes.
A tad.
Like, all I would say to that person, maybe just go knock one out and then play the video game.
There's so many problems that could be solved by people if they just go jerk off.
Yeah.
Just go jerk off
Just
and then
go
come
for a
back.
wank and then be a normal functioning human where you can play as Ada with her clothes on. But, as I say, you do you.
I hate to admit it, but there is a popular belief advice-wise, pardon me, that before a lot of like relationship big moves in life, you should not be horny when you're trying to make the decision of whether
I love how just direct, like hammer on the nail. Gary and John were about it, and you're just tiptoeing around it.
I don't want to
Yeah.
say
You don't wanna
the
say
word
it, like-
wank. I hate it.
Like you don't want to say it, but just we all know what you're trying to say. You're just saying rub one out before you make a big decision.
You should.
That's what you're
Yes.
saying. Like you gotta
Not
make
be
sure you
horny.
don't have baby batter in the brain, bro. That's
You
what
should
you're
make
saying.
sure
I get it.
Baby batter
that
in the
you're not
brain.
horny.
Yeah. This is a 1776 podcast.
Sorry, I got a little like camp counselor with it, didn't I?
Yeah.
Can
you're
anyone
you're
think
like
of a
YouTube.
way that you
You're
could
like YouTube.
ensure that you're not horny? You should definitely do that.
Anyone?
Prayer.
Anyone? Pray,
Any one of you?
Pray the horny away.
Make
Pray the
sure
horny
you've
away.
had a good pray session before you make any big decisions.
Yeah.
I just hate saying the word wank. Okay, sorry.
A long, hard prayer
Well, you said
session.
it. You've said it more than us now.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kinda,
I had the good
like
decency to
feels-
say knock one out.
Feels like your word now.
Knock one out.
Just bash it out.
Have a chug. Have a bash. I'm Gary.
Anyway, so what'd you guys
Spank
do
the
this
monkey.
week?
Yeah. What do you guys do this
So
week?
what'd you guys do this week?
Besides knock one out.
I started playing all the Resident Evil games again. Well, like the remakes. So, except one. I haven't played one. But I played Resident Evil 2. I just finished Resident Evil 3 and I'm started Resident Evil 4. And I think I'm going to play Resident Evil 5 after that. Quite excited. And then maybe play 6 for the first time ever.
Wait, did you not
Do
play
you-
Resident Evil 1?
No, I never played 1.
Do you not like one? Are you one of those people?
Just never played it.
Why didn't you start with 1?
Because I wanted to play Resident Evil 2 because I like that game. It's like it didn't get the because Resident Evil 2 got the super remake, right? The modern. This is
Right.
Whereas Resident Evil
Yeah.
1 just got like a. We've made the backgrounds sharper. and the character models look a little nicer.
We talked about this before. It's much more than that.
The Resident
I
Evil
just
1
wanna- I
remake
just-
for the GameCube
It's
is like
not a
one of the
remaster.
best games ever.
But I just want them to just make it like Resident Evil 2.
No, it's really good, Gary. I'm gonna punch you in the face right now. You need to play Resident Evil 1 remake.
Whoa, somebody!
That's
Didn't
the
knock
most.
one out.
That's the
How
most
many weeks in a
violent.
row are we gonna
That's-
come on here and be like, Gary, you should really play it? And he's like, you had the perfect opportunity to do it, and you didn't do
Have
it.
we had this discussion?
We did it just last week.
Did we?
Can I punch
Do
Gary
you
too?
remember it? Do you remember us having this discussion last week?
Was I drunk?
When are you not?
That's fair. Right. Maybe I'll play at the end. I'll play all of them.
Play at the end, you know,
Play at the end.
the game that created the term survival horror,
I can't play
invented
it.
the fucking genre,
What? You
the
think I
best
should?
remake in history.
Are you,
I am.
are you,
Gary-
are you suggesting I play it after 4?
Yeah, who cares? Just play
Yeah,
it.
whatever.
I'll play at the end. There you go.
Just
You
play
started
it.
with 2.
Gary,
You might as
I
well
have
just play
played.
1 now.
I have played Resident Evil 1, Gary, and you have not.
Even
How does that-
fucking Doug has played it.
Even Doug has played.
Doug is
Resident Evil
old.
1.
He played it when it first came out.
That's true, but that
Gary,
doesn't
you're like
matter
34.
because I played it,
33.
okay? And like, I
And
honestly feel
I
like,
grew up with my brother being in charge of the PlayStation. I wasn't allowed to play his video games. I had to steal Final Fantasy VII so I could play the fucking thing.
There's like 7 years difference.
if
between you
there
and
was
Doug.
a will, there was a
100
way with
years.
Final Fantasy VII, then you could have done. Resident Evil was not impossible. You just didn't-
When I was
you didn't
growing up,
try.
my only experience of Resident Evil was my brother handing me the controller to shit me up as a kid.
Okay. We're
So-
going way back in the time machine right now. You could have
Also-
played it last week. I'm gonna
Oh yeah,
stick on this
I
point.
guess yeah, yeah. John's just not gonna let
Yeah.
it go. So at that
I'm not
point,
gonna let it go. We're going back 25 years. What about last
John-
week?
John and I aren't even talking about the original. We're talking about
No.
Resident Evil 1 remake,
I
which
know.
came out on GameCube and Steam.
Like,
and it's-
come on, make it look modern.
It does.
It does look modern.
It was the
They even-
best looking game of like 2002
Oh,
at
and
that
it-
time.
oh,
They remastered it. So it's high
2002?
definition now. No,
Wow,
the remastered version
it's like
on
playing
Steam,
Dirge of
it-
Cerberus.
Gary, you just said, in the past.
I'm just
Yeah,
gonna also,
Talked about the PlayStation, and now you're saying 2002.
No,
I'm
PS2.
I'm gonna predict this is making Gary less likely to play the game.
Yeah, well now
I'm-
he'll play
like,
it
now-
and he'll be like, it's shit. That's what I thought. I thought it was
Right,
shit.
yeah.
I knew
it
was.
would be
They're
shit.
wrong.
Oh, it looks dated.
Yeah, there's gonna be that for 8 hours. So
Imagine.
never mind. You know what?
Oh,
Yeah,
this-
don't play it. You wouldn't appreciate it.
Thank you,
Never
John.
mind.
I appreciate
UI
that.
is
You'd
a
probably get
nightmare.
one shot by a hunter and be like, oh, it's shite.
Oh,
No, I'm really good at killing hunters. I
struggle
just-
with
never
never
mind.
mind.
I cleaned them up in 3. You know, the
Retracted.
modern remake of 3. I really enjoyed that. I love that game. It's so modern and
terrible.
pretty.
Resident Evil
And
3
Jill's,
remake
Jill's
is
so
terrible.
beautiful.
Resident Evil 1 remake is modern, but you would know that because you haven't played it.
It's from 2002.
Do you know when the remaster came out?
2006?
No. No.
Just now.
Yeah, just a couple years ago.
Was
actually.
it 2023?
No.
Oh, well.
Oh, did Resident Evil 2 Remake come out in 2023?
That was like 2019
When did that one come out?
or something.
Oh, interesting. Huh.
When did Resident Evil 1 remaster come out?
Oh no, Gary. When did it come out?
Who cares?
Good point, Sido. Who gives a shit? It looks old.
No, it doesn't.
You haven't even seen it. I guarantee you haven't even seen it.
It's true.
Anyway.
I haven't seen
You don't know what you're talking about. You're just talking bullshit.
I know.
Yeah, exactly.
Comments roast him.
Yeah.
Get him. Get his ass.
Get him.
I mean,
Get his ass,
Get
please.
him.
I mean,
New co-host. Get him right now.
Let's go.
It's not gonna sound good, but that game did come out like a decade ago. No, it's been like a decade. It came out in 2006 or 2015. So.
Oh, yeah, so
coming
it's
up on 10
old.
years. Coming up on 10 years.
Yeah, but it's
It's
like
not old.
it's very playable.
It's
Do you
pretty
know what I mean? Like it's not like you have to run it on a Philips CDI emulator. Do you know what I mean? Like you just play it on Steam and
Like, I said I was going to
holds
play
up
it, and
very
you
well.
guys were like, you should have played it already. Well, I can't win this because I haven't played it.
We just play it. That's how you
Well,
win.
you should have played it.
I'm not
already.
playing it
You know
until
what?
I've, like,
maybe
I'm
an
gonna-
apology.
No,
would
don't play it at all. I've
You're the boss
retracted
of
my
me.
recommendation.
Yeah, because you'll be a contrarian about it now because you know that we
Yeah,
want you to.
it's too
You
late.
wanted us to play it, so
It's too
don't
late.
play it.
Just don't play
You
it.
think
Don't
I
play it.
care what you think more than I do. I'll play it and I'll enjoy it however I want to.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
I will play the old people's game. I'll download the emulator that Sino just said that I need.
He's just trying to get as many comments in as he can right
Yeah,
now.
right.
He's just trying to
This
get
is
as
a
many as
man who
possible.
talks about Final Fantasy VIII on every single stream of his, talking about
My collection's so fucking good. Did you see my tweet? Oh,
don't
it's
care.
so good.
Yeah, Mr.
Moving
Modern
on.
Video Game over here.
Oh, I don't
Anyway.
know. Final Fantasy 7's old. Final Fantasy 8's old. Even the remaster's like old.
Who cares?
Agreed.
You do. You care.
You do.
You're the one.
You do.
You guys, you're on the verge of saying the word snowflake. That's how angry you guys are getting. At
You
this
just said
situation.
snowflake.
Oh no!
You called a game
Not
old
the-
as an
not
insult,
the-
then you said, who cares about a game being old? Then you said we were going to say snowflake, and then you used the word snowflake.
Not that you're still
You're a
arguing.
walking
'Cause you're obviously
hypocrisy.
mad. Wow.
I think you're just you're misunderstanding.
You're an abomination before God.
I'm not the one upset.
I'm
Yeah,
not
I'm
upset
upset.
either.
No, I'm upset.
I
don't
mean,
give a
both
fuck.
of
was
you,
upset.
both
there
of
we
you
go.
have yelled way more than Gary has, and you guys,
you, Doug.
John
We're
especially,
trying
started
to make
yelling.
try to make an entertaining podcast, Doug.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's hard to make
What
an
would I know
entertaining
about
podcast.
that?
It's
I
hard
know.
work. You gotta yell.
Oh, man, that's-
You can't
It's
sit here like,
hard.
today on Spine Chill episode 47, we're going to broach the subject of Dead by Daylight once again. You gotta get loud. You gotta get American with it.
I
sure, we
think,
did say this is the 1776 sponsor.
I just love the idea of jumping. I think Gary, you should try.
Okay,
Resident
perhaps you
Evil
should try-
remake, the remake.
I've said
sick of
that
it
like
going.
30 different times. I've said that like 30. You know what? Eventually, the volume's got to increase.
Yeah, so sorry I had an opinion without starting off my opinion with the 7 different counter opinions that I acknowledge exist out there before
Sorry,
I see
Sino.
them.
I forgive you. Apology noted as well.
I think I liked you better when you were drunk.
Yeah, stop drinking water.
Don't
Get some
worry,
more gin.
I'm drinking. This is gin.
Oh, is it?
Oh yeah, I called it. I was like, that's not water. He tried to say it was water earlier, but he's holding up what looks like a glass of water, a pint glass
It's
of
very,
water,
very small sips of that quote water.
drinking gin out of a pint glass.
Don't want to have too much water.
I never claimed to be classy.
This is what happens when you don't play Resident Evil 1.
To
That's
do
true.
a thing like that.
Yeah.
To do a thing like that right after we got called out for not being professional. Wow,
I know.
that's insane.
I think we were called out for not being very performative because we
Oh.
just talk to each other rather than constantly, you know.
Oh, is that what we're
right.
doing now?
We have to be more performative and
Oh.
like
Yeah, we
have,
have to-
pretend debates
mean-
for the camera.
Oh, okay. In that case, fuck you guys.
I think we already just did
Fuck
that.
Resident
We-
Evil.
we
Do
already
you know
did
what?
this.
Resident Evil fans suck as well.
You
So
basically already said all this, Gary, in different
know.
words. So
It's your actions that said
just repeating yourself.
This is action.
All right.
So what
well,
else did you guys do this week?
Let's see. I started replaying an old point-and-click adventure game called Gabriel Knight: Sins of the Fathers. That'll be going up on my second YouTube channel.
That is
It's
a
a,
fancy name for a game.
I thought
it is.
Can you say it again?
Gabriel Knight, Sins of the Fathers.
Oh,
Sins of the Fathers is the subtitle.
that's a beautiful title for a game.
Yeah. Well, it was the
I thought
first
you were-
game. There's two other
you were
Gabriel
saying
Knight
it's
games.
old.
It is
Really
old. It's 1993. Yeah.
I hope they make a remaster.
They did make a remaster.
They did.
It's not as
Oh,
good.
good. Oh,
No. The original game has Tim Curry and Mark Hamill doing voice and stuff, and
Oh,
the
wow.
remaster does not. Yeah.
Those are names.
Yeah.
yeah.
No, Tim
What
Cur-
the fuck?
Tim Curry voices Gabriel Knight, so yeah.
Okay, so remaster sucks if it's minus Tim Curry
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
What?
exactly.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Mark
they've got-
Hamill, you said?
Yeah, Mark Hamill. They got all sorts of like professional voiceovers. Like adventure games used to have like Hollywood actors as their voice actors back in the day. They used to be huge, so it was very common, especially with like Sierra games and stuff like that. Pretty crazy.
That's cool.
Yeah, one of my favorite games of all time, King's Quest VI, had Robbie Benson voice the main character, and he like voiced Eric from The Little Mermaid, Beast from Beauty and the Beast. Like they got like Disney level talent for the game, so it's crazy. Those used to be like the biggest games in the world. But honestly, like I was replaying it, and even though it's 30 years old, this Gabriel Knight game, it had like it still is like really good today.
It holds up, huh?
Sorry, what was that?
I said holds up. You're saying.
Yeah. I mean, like it's considered one of the best adventure games ever, but like there's certain cultural aspects of it that are a little iffy, maybe a little controversial, but like as far as like game design and story and intrigue, like it's still got it. So it's been really fun to replay.
You said King's Quest 6 is your favorite point and click adventure game?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I played. I played 5 though. believe it
Oh, you
King's
played
Quest
5?
I grew up. I played that game when I was growing up. Yeah, and that was like I have a core memory of that King Anthony song with the ants thing. Like is like that'd be my
Yes.
mind. That'd be my brain
Where
forever.
the ants? Na-na-na-na. Yeah. That game's so corny.
Yeah,
I loved
yeah,
it though.
was corny as it was great.
That's one
I
of my
got
favorite things about you, Doug.
What's up?
It's like sometimes you give off this vibe of like I play A-Sims and that's all I do, and I've got my little corner. But every so often we'll mention something and you're like, yeah, King's Quest 5, loved it.
Yeah, right.
Every so often you surprise us, and that's something I really appreciate about you.
Thank you. Appreciate that compliment.
Yeah, I mean, 5 and 6 were huge games in
Yeah.
the 90s. Like they were some of the biggest computer games of all time. In fact, 6 was the best-selling computer game of all time for a few years, actually,
Wow,
in
really?
a row. Yeah. Yeah, 5 was hard though. Like I remember playing that as a kid and being like, so what do I do? Because like there's no internet to like look up guides or anything
yeah.
of like what do you do? So you just had to figure it out, and it was rough.
Does it have a lot of point and click bizarro logic?
Yeah, Moon
Puzzle
Logic.
stuff?
Yeah.
Okay. I've
Yeah.
never played Gabriel Knight, which is weird because you would think I would play those type of games a lot, but I actually really excited to watch you play it, John. I'm gonna
Oh,
watch your
okay.
series.
Yeah, it's very good. It's
I'll
very
definitely
fun.
watch that. That sounds really interesting. I think word of
thanks,
mouth is how we
guys.
figure stuff out. Word of mouth is how we figure stuff out. For me, like it was like if you got
Yes.
stuck, you'd ask around, you like your friends that were playing too, and you're like, how did you figure that out? How did you find that thing in the haystack? And like they would.
I remember the little books you'd get from PlayStation magazines and stuff.
Prima. You could get like Prima.
Yeah.
cards.
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Or one
Nintendo
I
time
just
Power.
remembered.
we got
something-
in big trouble for calling the Nintendo Power hotline one time at my friend's house. Like we called up to get tickets, cheats, and get stuff for Mario RPG. We were trying to figure out a Mario RPG secret, and we called and we got in so much trouble for that.
How much that
$3.99 an hour.
cost?
It was like $3.99 an hour or something like that, and that was in like 1990s money.
Oh
It
yeah.
was like $1 million pretty much, you know.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask if you guys ever called up a tips hotline, but Doug, you just told us you actually did. So is it just
Yeah.
like an adult taking calls from kids who are just like, I need help on Gabriel Knight, or
It was like a pre-recorded thing, so you press the numbers, and you're like, and I don't remember. I can't. It was. I mean, this was legitimately 30 plus years ago. But like it was like you punched in numbers, and they would eventually get you to a desk, yeah, and you would talk to a person. And I remember it being. I just remember that it was a lady, and like we would ask her questions, and she's like typing on her keyboard, and then like gave us the answers. Like they just had like a little database. They probably had like I don't know if they had like a deal with the games to like get the because it was like I don't know how time worked back then, man. Because I don't know when the game came
Yeah.
out relative to when you got your hands on it, right? Because these days you get a game the day it comes out and everybody's, there's videos and people are talking about it. But back then,
The guides are
game
up the
would
next
come out.
day.
Yeah, a game would come out and then it would ship. And then I was in Alaska, so it was like not only did we have to get a game, we had to get it in Alaska, which took forever. So by the time we're getting our hands on Mario RPG for the Super Nintendo, right? That game's probably been out for a minute. It's probably been out for a while, right?
Mhm.
I don't know, but I don't know how I don't know if they had like, because there's Nintendo Power hotline, so they probably worked for Nintendo, right? And so they probably had
Yeah.
like information from the developers of the game. I'm punching into a little computer and tell you what it was. That's my guess.
Yeah, I always wonder about that because I never called into those tip hotlines, but I was always, whenever I saw that in like Nintendo Power or, one of those magazines, I'd be like, how do they know? Do they just know everything? Do they know the solution to every puzzle for every game? How's that possible? Like, because there's so many games, and I remember, seeing like in those like letters sections and stuff, they'd be like, I'm stuck in Kirby All Stars or whatever, and it'd be like, Kirby what? It's like I've never even heard that game, and then. Whoever was responding would be like, oh, yeah, you simply go to blah, blah, blah and get blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, wow, they just know everything over there. It was like very impressive.
Do any of
So,
you
like-
have any experience with the Donkey Kong Country video that they put out and they sent it to people? I don't remember if it's like that. I don't remember how I got it, but I got a copy of this and it was like about the making of the game. The entire video is on YouTube. You can go watch it anytime you want right now. And that is something that was when I decided I wanted to work in games someday. It was like they had this video. It's the most 90s video ever. And it's like a behind the scenes of the creation of Donkey Kong Country. And it was so corny, but it was so awesome. And I
haven't seen it.
Look,
I haven't
I can
seen
tell
either.
Sinnoh has, by the way, he's nodding and smiling.
Of course, I've seen the weird video from the 90s about Donkey Kong Country. Oh, it's great. It's so funny as well, and I love the fact that that's what made you want to get into games. And I love the idea that as kids we probably thought there was somebody on the hotline that was just like, they hired me because I'm good at video games. Let me tell you the wisdom, young one. And it's like they're just using a database.
Like they're a wizard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead, they've got like a good internet connection and game FAQs on a browser,
Yeah.
But we're like,
That's great.
whoa, you know where to get this in Resident Evil 2? You're amazing.
Yeah.
I never called them up though because I was terrified. But
I never touched the phone when I was a kid.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
America,
I
we
was
used the
for
phone
me.
right away. No. We used the phone. We came out of the womb using the phone out here in America.
America. Using the phone is my American right.
my impression
free
of Gary's
citizen.
childhood is Harry Potter, basically. It's you under the stairs, not allowed out, apart from the occasional cheese sandwich.
But there was less magic.
But I'm not a wizard.
Harry Potter,
Wow.
but without the wizardry.
It's more like Dobby.
So I
Oh.
wasn't wrong. Okay.
So no, I'm sorry, but I just can't help but notice that you used to have a kettle on your counter in the back, and it's not there anymore. We can't even see the handle, and so would
The
you mind
handle
just
is
pulling-
gone.
Would you mind pulling out so we know it's there? I'm just really worried about it.
Is it okay? Did you
Yeah,
heard
is it okay?
For visual only viewers, the boys slightly razzed me earlier because I streamed from my kitchen.
Why do you not care about the audio listeners?
Yeah. What about that?
No, that's what I meant for the audio only listeners. Sorry, I said
Oh,
viewers. I
oh,
meant
What's
okay.
very,
I
very
was
weird.
really
audio only
confused.
listeners.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
To
Why do you hate the
explain.
video audio?
Yeah, very weird of you to exclude people. I mean, haven't we already taken enough flack for excluding people from the podcast?
I'm trying to include them, and now I'm beginning to see their point. Quite frankly. But yes, there is a kettle sometimes in the background because I have to stream from my kitchen, otherwise I got noise complaints. And the downstairs neighbor was very accepting. She was like, yeah, it's just your living room is above my bedroom, so please stream somewhere else. And I was like, yeah, fine. But you can see a kettle in the background.
Can you
Yes.
get some googly eyes for the kettle?
Oh god, fuck off.
Maybe just a sticker or something. Can
Where'd he
put a
go?
Google
He
sticker
was in the
on
middle of telling a story, and then he just walks away. Hey, there's the kettle. Okay. Well.
it? Also, take this opportunity to let everybody there's a video only
Okay.
enjoyer.
Well, Sen, I'm sorry for the miscommunication, but we just wanted to quickly see the kettle to make sure it was okay, but then leave it out of sight is what
It's
we
a bit.
want.
It's a bit.
It's a bit of an
It's kind of
eyesore,
distracting.
isn't it?
It's a little distracting, yeah.
Yeah.
Look how
so-
much
Oh,
bigger Lloyd is
oh.
than his fridge.
Oh. Okay.
Just a little.
It's just a little bit.
I can still see the handle.
Just a
Just a
handle?
little bit.
little bit more
I
to
just put my
the.
headphones back on. You can still see the handle. All right, I'll get rid of the
Yeah,
handle.
it's a little bit. It's just. Yeah, we just want to check on it. That was okay. You don't need to do this whole song. Where are you putting it? On the ground? He put the kettle on the ground.
I've just put my headphones back on. What are you saying?
Where is it? Where did you put it?
Where did you put the kettle?
It's gone. It's gone now.
Did you put it on the ground?
I did put it in the corner of my
The
kitchen.
floor
on the ground.
kettle?
In
A
the
floor kettle.
corner, like it's being punished?
Yeah,
Gary, are you hearing
like
this?
kettle.
The naughty step for a kettle. What kind of Brit are you
Oh, for
to
fuck's sake.
punish the
Yeah,
kettle?
I thought you guys held
That's-
your kettles in high reverence. I mean,
I can't believe he's putting up with us.
He's still doing it. He tells me I'm a bootlicker, and then I'm just doing whatever you guys tell me to do. And then he pulls this, right? Like,
okay, see.
I now have the kettle in my hands. Here it is.
so,
Describe it to the
So?
audio-only listeners.
They need to know.
It's silver. It's kind of got a fat ass. If you could describe a kettle as having a
Are you
fat
are you
ass.
saying this
Instead
kettle
of
has a
body
dump truck
shaming
ass?
The kettle.
Well,
Wow.
fat asses are in. We like a dumpy.
Okay.
Here is the thing that gets connected so that it conducts electricity. This is a great podcast, by the way.
Yeah, so no,
This-
speaking of the podcast, I would love for you to return to the section prior, like way earlier, when you were accusing me of bootlicking and kissing up to my superiors, I believe you put it. What is happening right now?
I'm kettle licking.
How exactly does the kettle work?
Are we really doing this? Is this really a thing that we're doing right now? Do we not want to talk about Dead by Daylight that badly that we'd rather talk about how
Honestly,
it
yeah.
works?
Honestly,
Put it
yeah.
Oh, we do have one other thing we could talk about that's not Dead by Daylight.
What's that?
Oh, we do, yeah.
We could talk about book club.
We could talk about book club.
Thank God, because this kettle thing is annoying me. Can I put it back now, please?
Yeah.
Yeah, just as long as it's out of sight. I
Yeah.
think it would be the on the counter though.
Oh,
Make sure the
yeah,
handle's
Okay, I was
all
gonna
the
put it on the
way.
floor. It is kind of weird on the floor.
Yeah.
It is kind of weird on the
Little
floor.
disrespectful.
Phil, yeah, we don't want to disrespect the kettle. Okay,
No.
for our audio only listeners, it's over now. We're
Oh,
going to move on.
it's annoying just a little bit, but it's fine.
It's okay.
can
We're
see-
just
you
gonna
can
let
see
it
the
go. We're
handle,
gonna let
it's
it-
your
we're
Fine,
gonna
point.
it's
let it
fine,
go.
it's
We're
fine,
gonna
it's
let it
fine.
go.
He's gonna fix
He
it.
won't be able to let it go. Like, that's the problem. He'll think about it.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Senna.
Thank you, Seno.
Thank you.
Thank
No
you.
wonder we get comments
you.
saying this podcast is fucking weird. Jesus.
Yeah, why do you say that?
Yeah, what's your problem?
What's your deal, man?
You know, you're a co-host around here now, and with that comes certain expectations. Okay, you've just lost a branch.
Can you see the kettle?
I'm disappointed.
Fifth host.
I have no opinion.
This is a weird season.
So it's great. They're gonna love.
So, book
gonna
club,
love-
huh?
So book club.
Book club,
All right.
Sylvio.
So I picked the game for this week. It was my turn, and I picked a 2015 indie horror game, Sylvio, created by Stroboscope, centered around a girl named Juliet who encounters spirits with her audio equipment, and you record them, their electronic voice phenomena, and they give you certain clues and hint at an overall story, and it's just kind of like a chill puzzle horror game that I really enjoyed when I first played it 10 years ago, and I just replayed it this past week, and so did you guys. You're all caught up. What'd you guys think?
So how far did everybody get? So John, did you finish it a second
I
time
did.
round?
I did
Yep,
finish
okay.
it a second time, yeah.
I've completed it myself. I streamed it, took a couple of streams. How about you guys?
You completed it in 4 hours.
No, Steam's weird. Steam's saying like I only played 4 hours, but I've played like 6.5.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was
'cause I played it
incorrect.
for 4 hours. I definitely did not complete it in 4 hours. I was like, I think it feels like near the end of Fantasia. Like
You're in
I'm
the
wrapping up.
theme.
Oh, you're in
park?
the amusement
Theme
park?
park,
Is that
yeah.
what,
Yeah.
the fun
Yeah.
fair? Yeah. So you were
Fun
probably
fair?
like at the 2/3 to 3/4 mark or so.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I felt like I was pretty close to done.
Yeah. Yeah, you're pretty close.
So how far did you get?
So I classify myself as having completed it because I was in the zoo and I got up to the point where you need to take a sheet of paper from a locker. And then you
Oh,
go
yeah, the
and you
note.
open a and then you like open a door with a keypad, I think, afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
But it's glitched and I just can't pick up the paper. and I kept like reloading the game, and it just wouldn't work. I don't know
some-
why,
Oh.
I had some
but
serious issues with glitches too, a couple times. I don't
Yeah.
know progress more than once. 'cause of
And
that.
I did, the usual stuff. I like jumped on top of the locker. I like jumped at the note and tried to press E. The usual stuff to try and make it work. Relaunched the game. It just will not pick up for some reason. I guess I'm just unlucky. So I watched YouTube footage of like that point onwards, and I was like very close to the end anyway at that point.
Yeah, you were.
Yeah.
So I played through the game as much as I could, but for some reason I just got really unlucky with that. But
Okay.
Yeah, you basically completed the zoo, and then there's just one more area after that that's mostly just like lore. So
yeah, I watched
Yeah, you
somebody
pretty
play
much
through
did
the. What's again? It's like a.
You watch
Somebody?
someone?
Oh, for some reason I didn't watch John do it. I don't know why. It didn't occur to me. It was some
Wow.
random Let's Player. I was like, oh, he doesn't seem annoying.
Wow. No, it's okay.
Sorry.
That's fine. That's
What do you
fine.
think about that comment section?
No, it's totally fine. Yeah, honestly, if I was gonna watch it, I'd probably watch some no commentary person. So I totally get it.
I mean, I brought up your video on my stream the other day, and you were holding out the microphone to one of the crows. And I was like, that's a classic John Wolfe bit there. He's pretended to interview this crow. I was
I
like,
interviewed
yes,
the crow.
that's my
Yeah,
boy.
I did every time he took me somewhere. I was just like, "Where do you get off?" He never had anything to
That's
say.
like, hell yeah.
All
So,
right,
yeah,
so
I-
who would like to
I played
start?
it.
I can go.
All right, Gary, go ahead.
I'm very interested to hear what Gary.
So Sylvio, I really wanted to like it. I went in with a very positive mindset. 'Cause I know John, you love it. Like, have you? I know you. Well, you recommend you chose the game because you have
I
a,
recommended it.
it
Yeah.
has a place for it in your heart. So I went in really wanting to like it. And unfortunately, I started like the first area. I think the first time I started to kind of get a little bit like I'm not enjoying this game so much was there's like this. The puzzles can be kind of what's the best way of putting them? Convoluted, like what you have to do, the objective, like the tips and tricks to it. So there's that bit where there's like a tire on like some scaffolding,
Mm-hmm.
and like I pulled a lever and it made these stairs move up and down like this,
Oh,
in
yes.
a weird way. And I was like, okay, so I have to use those stairs to get that wheel.
Yeah.
And I messed around with that for ages trying to figure it out. And that's not really the case. You have to, I think, shoot it down, right? I think I shot a potato at it.
Yeah.
And I remember being like, that's really weird the way they presented this problem. It's a very strange way of directing the player to do that. Like, it makes sense, but it's weirdly presented to me. And I feel like that's kind of like how I felt about the game going forward. Like, there was always like these little moments where I was like, I see what they thought would make sense, but I don't think the navigation and design is quite fluid to navigate the player in the right direction for puzzles. I thought the audio design was pretty interesting. The voice acting, hit or miss for me. I quite liked the main character was fine, even though it was a bit. You warned us about the ASMR thing. I didn't like Bobby the most. I think Bobby's notes made me want to cringe a little bit. Like I just didn't like the T's and P's and in my ear. It felt like they were. I just didn't like it. I didn't quite, and there's a lot of the game I didn't quite understand. And I was listening to the notes, and I was obviously streaming it, so I was like, not always taking everything in. But I don't quite get the lost shadow monsters that are weak to nuts and bolts. Not quite sure I figured those out. Yeah, the giant ghost monsters, a little bit like the bosses, when they would spawn and the UX or the UI would disappear, and I would suddenly be kind of like, I think that's how it worked. You know how you get the little messages of like hammer,
Oh yeah.
keypad, and you know roughly where to go, and then those would disappear sometimes. I'd be very confused.
Oh.
And then, yeah, ultimately, like, I just didn't really get it. Everything was very
Didn't get
red and samey looking, and then the final ending with I took the meatball off her head, and then the game ended.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, if a guy is smart and a single player game horror game player like Gary didn't get it, how do you guys think How do you think I?
I mean, I didn't predict that you would be blazing through it, but
No, it was very challenging, and I didn't hate it either. I think I would echo what Gary said. Like I went into it wanting to like it, and there were a few times where I did feel like, all right, maybe I'm getting this, maybe I'm figuring this out. I did feel pretty good about a couple of puzzles that I figured out on my own. But I just continued. It just got more and more to me like, what is that? Like what? Like I am so. And again, I had similar struggles with the tire puzzle.
Yeah.
I had a hell of a time with in the fun park in Fantasia or whatever it was called, with getting the electricity to turn on because I was shooting the propeller the wrong way. I'm like, I'm shooting the propeller, I'm shooting it, nothing's happening.
No,
And so I'm like, I don't get that.
I played the game before and I had a problem with that. I was like shooting it point blank. I was like, and I was like, why isn't it moving? And I was like, oh, I had to go down to the ground and do it. Yeah.
So again, and it's like, and that's not enough. And again, I thought the voice acting was great, and I thought that the vibes were great. I loved the aesthetic of it being like, but so for me, and I think I talked to you about this a little bit today, Gary, but like for me, it's one of those things where like I started feeling like low self-esteem and self-worth at times, where I'm like, how is this so hard for me? I have a microphone. It tells me where to go. How am I hard stuck on this? And so I'm glad to hear that there were other people with struggles with it, because for me, it was like almost embarrassing that I was having this much trouble.
I mean, that's one of the things I would say when I did get something done, I didn't feel particularly rewarded by the game. It just got like
there's literally times where like a car would just say next level, and I'm like, oh yeah, I guess I go to the next level now. Okay.
I would compare the game a little bit to like, you know, Slender, the 8 pages and those kind of ones. It felt a little bit like I just kind of listened to a ghost, and then I would go to the next location that the microphone would kind of tell me to go to or whatever, and I'd listen to another ghost, and then I would. It felt like very much like I didn't have much agency in the game. I felt like I was just kind of following what the plot and the direction that the game wanted me to go. I didn't feel overly involved. The best bit for me was probably with the driving around, but then that was just following, go to this bit.
Right, it is a linear game.
Yeah, but like it felt like it should feel just a bit more open. Like I just didn't feel very engaged in it. Like even the puzzles of the tire and stuff, I was like, there's just one way of doing everything, and it felt kind of, I don't know, just like it didn't feel like I was particularly involved in the game.
Okay.
So, yeah, just to clarify, I think I know kind of roughly what the plot is, but just to sort of like contextualize what Sylvio is, if you haven't played it out there, listener or whatever. So like a ghost hunting game where you listen for like EVPs, like the voice phenomena, right? And I think what happens, the game is quite opaque, right? It doesn't really tell you up front what the plot is. You have to kind of piece it together, which can often be very satisfying. It's like a landslide happens, and then there's like a cult that, I don't know, like calls the shots after the landslide happens.
And they're called Sylvio, I believe. And that's the name of the cult.
Right?
No, that was not my interpretation. I'm not saying that my interpretation is right, but sorry, keep going, Sino.
I had a feeling that Sylvio was like the cult leader, and they talk about being trapped in like a tunnel a lot. They keep mentioning like we're in a tunnel, which at first I think most people would be like, oh, it's like, are you seeing the tunnel when you died and you can't move on to the next, like to the heaven, so to speak, or whatever you believe in, because they're trapped in the tunnel where it's like almost like the ghost needs to be exorcised to be free. But then they kind of talk about Sylvio being like a blood mist. It's like a red blood mist, and the whole game looks like, oh, this game is like the most 6, 7 out of 10 pathologic, like weird late 2000s, early 2010s PC game, often Eastern European, but not always, just like one of these weird games where it's hard to argue that the game is quote unquote good, but it's one of those games where you're like, you're weirdly fascinated with it. It's kind of how I interpreted why you like it so much, John. It's like it sticks with you, even though it's hard to be like, it's a good quote unquote game, right?
Yeah. Like I don't think it's, especially on replay, which I want to talk a bit about the differences between the remastered version that you guys played and the original version, because not all the changes were positive. But I would say one reason why I was impressed by the game so much was, and you got to remember, like back in 2015 when I played it, the indie horror landscape 10 years ago was like insanely different than it is today. Like this is before Resident Evil 7 kind of revived a lot of the interest in horror games. Like you were stuck with like playing just like bullshit games on itch.io or just like Steam shovelware. A lot of the games that came out were just crap. They were just no good. They were just like, screamers in the hallway and stuff, like incoherent messes. And I remember playing this game just kind of on the off chance. I was just like, yeah, I saw this game on Steam and it looks like it's longer than like 60 minutes, so let's give it a shot. And then I was like, oh, this audio equipment is actually really cool. I've never seen anything like this in any video game, like where you're hunting for audio samples and the game's very audio centric. And I also liked just the atmosphere of the game. I liked that everyone kind of whispered their lines and there was this very quiet, chill vibe to everything that was unique to me. And so I think I was just really impressed by how different the game was. And I still am impressed by how different it is because it's been 10 years and I can't say I've played anything quite like it. I think that goes a long way for me, especially with indie games. Like, I want to play something different. I don't want to just play the same thing over and over. Especially with horror, a lot of stuff is very, very samey. You're dropped into a dark castle. Oh, there's a monster. Oh, there's a bunch of notes that you read, from characters that you never interact with. But this was different. Like, I think there were only like 3 or 4 notes that I found, and everything else was audio. And it's only told to you, like you said, Sino, in like really opaque bits, like phrases here and there, like stuck in the tunnel, the blood of the mist inside my skin, stuff like that. And I have a theory on the whole story and stuff. I was kind of hoping to discuss that a bit more, but if you guys don't mind, I can go into my interpretation of the story.
Oh yeah, I'd love to hear it.
I'm gonna crack open a cold one for this.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
For John's story time.
Yeah, because like my interpretation was it was just a landslide, and like I think Sino said about the tunnel, and I think you see that. I think you see a tunnel at like. Is it the hotel or like the apartment building? I think it's the apartment building, sorry. And I think there's a tunnel at the end of that segment.
Yes, there's a tunnel.
You open the doors
that
to
you
it.
Open the door to, yeah.
And then you move on to the next part of the game.
Yeah. I don't think that's the tunnel they're referring to, but yeah, that is a hotel, by the way, I think.
Okay.
I'm not sure. It's like with a lot of things in the game, it's not really 100% clear, which I kind of like because I like to theorize and stuff like that.
Yeah.
If I find it interesting, if I don't, then I hate to theorize. But with this one, I liked theorizing, and I've played through it twice now. And the first time I played through it, I was like, I don't really know what happened. I kind of had a similar reaction to what you had, Gary, of like, wait, we took the thing off of her head, like, and then the game just ends and it's over, and what was going on?
And we're like following someone, right? Because there's always this. It alludes to there being someone ahead of us.
Yes. I think that someone is Bobby, who's leaving the reels behind. I think he's just ahead of us. I'm not sure. I don't know who it is. I think it's kind of cool to not know who it is a little bit because it's kind of creepier that way of like someone's here, but we don't know who. But yeah, I
noticed the crow always flies to the next location as well.
Yes, there's a lot of crows around. Kind of weird. So yeah, like you said, there's a landslide in 1971 at this like park, Saginaw Park or whatever, and it basically seemed to make the area that I guess a lot of people used to live in kind of uninhabitable. Like some people seemed to die in the landslide, but then there were people that were left over that lived in this like giant expanse of land. And from what I understand, like Bobby's family, he had quite a large family. With his father and all of his siblings. He calls them the siblings. His father bought the park for like almost no money because it was like practically worthless. There was like a landslide, nobody wanted to clean up, but there were still people that were living there. There weren't going to be tourists anymore, like the amusement park was ruined. And so he basically bought the land and then he used the people there for some kind of experiment. And that's kind of what you uncover at the end is like when you take the helmet off of that lady, like that's Jill, one of the 13 people whose names you see at the beginning of each level. Because it's not really like up until the end of the game, you see these names pop up and they're unfamiliar. They're not any of the spirits that you talk to throughout the game. You're just like, yeah, who's Garrett? Who's that? It just seems like they're random names. So those are, from what I can gather at least, the 13 patients whose beds you discover at the very end of the game. Because if you look at you're looking for Jill's nameplate at the end of the game, and if you look through the different nameplates while looking for hers, you're like, these are the names of all the people that were at the beginning of the levels. And Bob even talks about the 13 patients. And these are people that have become trapped at this facility, at this abandoned facility, and they're being, like, basically, from what I can understand, like, juiced. Like their essence is being, like, extracted, and it's being pumped out into the air as this red mist. Which at the beginning of the game, I think Bobby says something about it being a pesticide, the red mist being a pesticide, because it's what you put in those aerosol cans on your gun, and you're firing, And so I'm like, wow, so I'm, like, firing the gun with pesticide. Well, but then one of the ghosts says something like, not pesticide or no pesticide or something like that. And I was like, wait, does that mean that the red mist isn't pesticide? And I think that what the red mist is, they call the cult the Church of the Red Mist. And that's only, again, that's like, with this game, it's like one person says it like one time. And you just have to kind of, and that's why I'm piecing it together from. It may not be right. So I think that the cult that was started by Bobby's father is the Church of the Red Mist. And basically they're just like pumping people's essence into the air, and that's what it is. And so you've got these people that are basically like vegetables, right? Like Jill is a vegetable at the end when Juliet discovers her and takes off the thing. But she kind of exists through at this state between life and death. She's not fully dead, but she's not fully alive either. And she exists sort of in limbo, or what they call Sylvio. Sylvio is, I found out, Latin for the woods. And that's, you see all these like tree visuals throughout, right? And even some of the spirits they talk about being, the woods, Sylvio. They just keep saying that, stuck in the tunnel and things like that. I think the tunnel is in reference to where Juliet goes at the end of the game, down the hatch. That's where they're stuck. That's where their bodies are. They're trying to tell Juliet, hey, our bodies are stuck down at this tunnel. And we're stuck in Sylvio between life and death. We're just doomed to endlessly wander the woods. And that's why you see those human figures, those bosses, like those are the people that are trapped. And so at the end, Juliet frees them, and she stops the red mist from being pumped and sprayed out into the place. And she basically ends their existence in Sylvio. And so that's sort of, I skipped over a lot of stuff, but that's my basic translation and understanding of the story.
I thought I died at the end.
Well, I thought you did too when I first played it, but there's a sequel, and Juliet's in it, so apparently not.
Oh, because I thought, because you take the meatball off her head.
Yeah.
And the game kind of abruptly ends shortly after that, and it zooms away from a feminine boss, like Shadow in the woods, among the mist. And I was like, oh, that must be me. I died.
It's a fair interpretation. Like, it's a fair interpretation that maybe, as you take the thing off, like maybe the red mist starts flooding the facility instead of being pumped outside, and then you join them in Sylvio.
Yeah.
But I don't know. There's a sequel, and she's in it, so I'm not sure. I can't remember exactly what happens in that one.
You know what it sounds like a massive metaphor for with how I thought and what you've just described, John? I don't know if I'm getting too 3 hours long YouTube essay, although this is totally the type of game that would have like a YouTube essay explaining it.
Yeah,
it's very H Bomber guy plays Pathologic and explains how it's amazing so that you don't have to, because it's really hard to play the game, right? It's kind of dated. It's kind of like Schrodinger's cat, because isn't the Schrodinger's cat experiment, it's not technically, according to the experiment, alive or dead until you open the box.
Right.
It's in like a state of being alive and dead. And Schrodinger's cat also, they usually describe it as like, it's like a kind of poisonous gas that the cat can be killed by, but you can't check until you open the box. And a lot of the ghosts are like, some of them are talking about being stuck in the tunnel, but then sometimes you hear them say, don't open the hatch. It's almost like they don't agree.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought a lot of the spirit conversations were very interesting, because you do get like minimal information. They don't expound on very much. And they do tend to contradict each other sometimes too.
Yeah, or like one of them, for example, one that I found quite chilling is the guy with the bird pets and the flutes.
That was my favorite. That was my favorite thing in the game.
Yeah, and he kind of implies he's like saw too much is one of the things he says, and I think he implies that like maybe he found out the Sylvio thing was going on and then he got killed because of it.
I think the game had some really strong moments like that where like, because sometimes you just talk to these spirits and you're just like, gate, got it, like they're just giving me a clue. But then sometimes you get stuff like that where you get a little bit more in depth and they say something a little unexpected. Like there was one ghost in Saginaw Park that I talked to that just randomly was just like not alone, and then if you backmask the soundbite, there's another voice that comes in and talks, and it's much deeper. And I remember like I think the first time I encountered that I was just like, whoa.
It's quite creepy.
Damn.
Yeah.
See, that's where I would be like, I wish the game had focused more on doing things like that. And what's the main character's name?
Juliet.
I was calling her Mindy when I was playing it. I couldn't remember what her name was. I wish there was moments in the game where she would talk. She would say something, but it was not helpful to me. So I'd be like, just wandering around. She would just say something after I did the objective. And I kind of wish she said more to react to situations like when I listen to the ghosts, or when I pick something up to help navigate me around to like, that would be my biggest issue with the game. Was I didn't feel like the game navigated me and didn't give me like, as a result, had a low UX on that regard. Whereas they could have focused more on the audio thing and used the main character's voice to focus my attention on that. Because the way you described that sounds really interesting. Like I wish I'd got any of that from playing it. Like I was because gate. Like I lose interest. I was like, okay, so most of these ghost words don't mean shit. So I'm just gonna get through it and get to the next objective point. Where that's when it became like a slender find the 8 pages. I was like, okay, I'll just go to this objective.
You probably saw me go like when you said
I did.
that.
I saw your reaction. I was like, yeah, because I wasn't invested in the sound bites because the game didn't do anything to help me think it mattered.
I feel like it has to. A lot of the game feels like it had to be a game. So it's like, we have to make it so that there's an enemy that you kill. So those ghost enemies are just so dumb.
They are so pointless.
They're really dumb. It's like half the time I didn't even know there was one there until it's like touched me and I've fallen over.
Oh, like the orbs?
Yeah, the black
smoke.
mist.
Yeah. The black
Oh, yeah.
And you kill it and then you find out
I
more.
mean, to its credit though, that didn't really set you back very much. It was very, very easy.
Yeah, but it's like it was so meaningless. Like it was like a mechanic that didn't need to be there.
Mm-hmm.
And it felt like it was somebody going, oh, it has to be a bit like a game, so you have to kill something, rather than it just being a vibe. And that might be something that game developers would maybe feel more in the past, whereas now they might be like, I'm going to make a game where there's no enemies, it's fine. I empathize a lot with that, like, I have to make sure that there's something that people understand, like ammo in a gun that you shoot the bad guy with. And I also agree with you, Gary, that I like the first level because I feel like I was looking at the objects and thinking about how to solve them, even if it was a bit moon logic, but the subsequent levels, sometimes they get really big and it feels like I'm just following a waypoint.
Yeah.
And I kind of like the first level because it's more contained and you're like, how do I get that ladder?
I think some levels are stronger than others. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
I was going to say, like, in the first level, I was more invested in knowing what's going on. I'd hear the ghost, I'd be like, oh, what's that? But then, as subsequent levels kicked in, I was like, it doesn't really matter if I listen to them because I'm just kind of waiting for it to have a little bit of poor font choice UI on the screen to tell me to go get this hammer, Like, I don't know. Like, I think the reason they've got the shooting mechanic and stuff in there is probably because the audio was so interesting. And I'm pretty sure that's what they wanted to focus on. But they didn't know how to design the game around that being the focus because I don't know what the solution would be. I'd have to sit down and really think about how I would make that audio thing the core mechanic.
That's the best bit. I love like rewinding the tapes and hearing a noise and being like, how do I get that to make a human voice? My favorite, by the way, shout out to the lady who goes, lucky numbers. Jackpot. She's my favorite. She's my favorite. I don't even know what she's talking about. I don't think that's related. I'm not even sure, but love her. She's my favorite ghost. Lucky numbers.
Yeah, I think that on that note, the EVP equipment is like that's why I wanted, honestly, that's why I like recommended it for us to play for book club, because I wanted to see what y'all thought about it. Because I haven't seen anybody like do anything like that in a video game of like, getting like a weird audio sample like that and like manipulating it to get a hidden message. I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, I think there's a way you could gamify that more. Like maybe when you hear bits, you have to record it, and you put 3 things together, and then that becomes something that you can use to open a door or find the riddle that answers a question. I don't know. There's a way of doing that, I think. I really do wish it had streamlined on and focused on that more so than the bosses, which were more monotonous and boring than anything, or the kind of going from objective to objective. Like, I really didn't enjoy I liked the visuals of the amusement park, but I didn't really enjoy it that much because it kind
you
of
weren't very amused.
Yeah, I was not amused in the park. I was just going back and forth, and I didn't like that I could find a key item and go, that's a key item, but I couldn't pick it up until a ghost had said hacksaw. Like, okay, I'll go get the hacksaw then, shall I? Now that
I did have a couple moments like that too.
But then I did like some.
I'm glad I played it. I'm glad I played it.
Yeah.
And I liked the EVP equipment. I thought it was really unique, like you said, with the EVP equipment. I thought that was really cool. Like you said, manipulating the audio and like hearing things. Like, I laughed a lot. I thought it'd be funny to like do a little like content on that, like trying to guess what they were trying to say. Like, or how do I make that into that? I thought it was fun.
Oh yeah. Because a lot of times they would like audio would come through and I'd be like, what did they say? And then it'd be like, oh, in the tunnel. Okay, I didn't get that at all. Or like under the stairs or whatever. Yeah.
Not, and I'm like, that is not what you said. That's
I
was like arguing on stream.
I feel like I didn't have too much problem understanding what they said, but I also feel like one of the reasons for that is I do think quite a lot of the ghosts are a British voice actor of some kind. Sometimes the way that they say vowels, I'm like, that sounds like a British person, or maybe somebody who's learned English from British people, like a Swedish or Norwegian person who speaks kind of British English, doing.
I don't know. I was arguing with the ghost, and I was like, "Fuck off! You didn't say that."
Yeah.
Bullshit.
No, you didn't. That's not what you. Don't write that down, Mindy.
Bobby,
don't write that down.
Shit. I like
you
that
little
one.
shit. Yeah. I was like, that's rather aggressive, that one. Or is it Susan? Susan's the first time the ghosts get a lot more like, where is your family? And she's like, Sylvio.
Oh,
and then you're like, Sylvio, all of us, we're all here.
We're all here.
The
We're
blood
all
of the mist.
in the mist. Yeah.
She seems to be more
lively,
upfront about it. I think she also says like, I'm number one. I was number one, apparently.
Number one mother. She says I was number one, and there's another character that just says number one mother. And so I think maybe it was like a polygamous cult where Bobby's father had multiple wives that had multiple children.
Okay, yeah. I thought it was a cult, but
yeah.
I will say I did like although I didn't really, the gun felt like such a needless addition, but I did like shooting down the wooden boards to find ways. It was
very satisfying.
That was like probably my favorite way the gun was used in terms of like a nice simple puzzle. Mm-hmm. I say what puzzle I did hate. I still don't understand how it works. You know, there's like I think it's in the zoo, and there's those three fucking things you spin round
they look like
to like time the thing. No idea. I cheated. I don't care anymore. I just want to get through these doors.
I literally just like cranked the lever and then just like sprinted through the doors when they opened.
I was like trying to figure it out because it's got those 3 arrows. I was like, okay, well maybe it's like this and this, and it's just when I cheated, I was like, right, what does it say to do? I'd put them in. I was like, I have no idea. I'm looking at the answer and I don't get why these arrows are here.
On that note, I would like to talk about like the main levels because I like to know y'all's favorites and least favorites. So we have the very first one, which was the cellar. Mm-hmm. You have the ice cream hut. You have the amusement park or the fun fair. You have the zoo, which was the final one. You have the hotel, and then there was one more that I missed.
The final facility.
I don't really count that as a level because you don't really do much in that. There was one like in the middle of all those though.
It
was after the ice cream hut.
Apparently, I looked it up. It's where it's the bird person. Christoph is there. It's called Big House.
Big House.
Just Big House.
Okay. Yeah. So like of those, did you have a favorite, least favorite?
I have a favorite.
No.
I weirdly liked the hotel the most.
Really?
I liked platforming around and like finding how to shoot the doors down and like I think that was the one that I felt like I just enjoyed it the most. Aside from the smoke monsters that I think were killing me from above me and I couldn't see them, that was kind of annoying. But I liked there's a swimming pool. I felt like there was just like visually I was more interested in the area. It was smaller, it was more contained, and I just liked moving around that environment around the vents, and the platforming element was kind of enjoyable.
I agree with you, Gary. I actually like the first level, the cellar, the most, and I also like the hotel because I think the level design is a bit better when it's a smaller, more contained area, but when it's just like a lot of objects just like strewn across this kind of red open world landscape, it feels a bit like, I don't know. It's like I'm not thinking about the level as a whole. I'm just like going at a waypoint and then something happens, sort of thing. I mean, the ice cream hut as well, it has its moments, but I prefer it when it's like a building, because with the first level I was really thinking about like the layout of it and how to do the puzzle where you make the garage door stand up so you can hop across the gap, whereas the other levels I was just kind of like running at it and being like picking up a thing and then running somewhere else.
Yeah, I think I'd say the amusement park was my least favorite because of that.
Oh, really? Even more than the zoo?
Yeah, the zoo sucked as well. They both sucked.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll tell you what,
puzzles in the zoo
annoying. Puzzles did suck. Like I was like, and most of the time I kept running back and forth going, I don't know where to go.
I think that unfortunately the two weakest levels in the whole game are the last two, the amusement park and the zoo, and they're also the biggest and longest ones. I think what you said, it's something I said in my playthrough too, Sino, is that the game works a lot better with smaller, more contained levels. Once they get like to these big sprawling ones, it just something falls apart with it. It's just not as focused. And yeah, the puzzles in the zoo. I was just like, how many times did you guys climb that stupid monkey path or whatever it is, all the way up to the tree?
Only once.
Really, only one time? Because I climbed that thing early on, and I saw the tree up there, and Juliet was like, "Wow, the last living tree," and I was like, "Right," because the mist like killed everything else.
Yeah.
And I was just like, "Wow," and then I was like, "Is that all that's up here?" And I was like, "Okay," and then I went down. And then later, the game was just like, oh, there's some piano sheets up there. And I was like, oh. And I went up there and I got the piano sheets and then I went back down. And then later it was like, the key's up there now. And I was like, are you freaking kidding me? And so I like went up there again and got the key. I was just like, if I had to climb this stupid thing one more time, I'm going to.
I didn't get any piano sheets. I think I got the key item right after knocking the tree down and just jumped down. I liked there was no fall damage. That made me laugh.
Yeah. Well, especially since there's one spirit in the hotel that's like, you're like, how did you die? And they're like, jump. And you're like, there's no fall damage. I can jump out too. Yeah.
But at the zoo, I think I got stuck like trying to figure out for a long time what I do, how I get to the next area. Because I missed there's very specific things you have to find to get through. And I think there was like one bit of fence I hadn't noticed that I had to bend to get a key item to. Yep. And I was like, I just hadn't noticed it. So I kept running around and around. I was like, there's got to be something. And I just had missed it.
Getting the scissors was a pain in the ass.
I think that's maybe what the key.
Do you have to bend something? Okay.
Yeah, there's like a railing that's like slightly, I don't know if I had to move it.
Do you have to move it? Because I brute forced that. I Skyrimmed up that dirt clod, and I was like, I can't believe I have to do this.
Oh. Yeah, I think if you go round, there's like a bit of a fence that you can push, and then you can jump on it to get the scissors.
Yes. It's a thin path, and it's because it's a zoo. There's like gates or like railings on either side where it's like an enclosure, but one of them has a slightly bent gate part of it. And because of the way the game is up until that point, you might think, oh, it's just they're trying to look a little spooky. But for that one part of the gate, if you go near it, you get a use icon and you push it over so you can get in.
But because you don't do anything else like that in the game, like it feels like a lot of these things are like one-offs. So it's not in your brain.
Right.
Compared to hit the thing with the green icon on it, which you do multiple times, so you're used to that.
Yeah, the giant green hand icon that's like, you want to do this?
Yeah. Hit this thing.
Yeah.
It's like I said, it's kind of a bad game in a lot of ways, but it's also fascinating. I think the plot and how it's told is fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
There's just, you have to really work for it.
I'm gonna go. It's fascinating in a really bad way. I still like. I'm not gonna like pretend I enjoyed the game. I think it's kind of bad in a bad way. Like, I wouldn't recommend it to anyone.
Well, we can disagree there. I do think that it does, unfortunately, it has this thing that some indie horror games have where there's just one person making it, where like a lot of these solo developed games, they have these like little quirks in them and there's no like co-developer or anyone else working on the game to be like, maybe we should not have like you have to stand this one specific spot and shoot the tire off the thing. maybe it should be different. So they just kind of roll with it, and that's what ends up in the final game, and no one else has any say in it.
This kind of goes back to what we were saying a bit earlier. We were talking about gamers and stuff. I do think game. If you're making a game, you should have someone to build it with, even if they're just like another voice to bounce things off.
Yeah. Well, it's just I'm not excusing it, but it does suffer from a lot of those quirks of like just having one person develop it. Because I think if there was someone else that was working with them, I would be like, the zoo's kind of a mess. maybe that could have been cleaned up a little bit.
Which QA is not. When you're like solo building a game, done that when you've played your own game for 1,000 hours.
Yeah.
Oh, you need to pass it to someone else to get some feedback at some point. Like, it's just a nightmare.
You need someone else to read your essay. You need someone else to play your game. It really reminds me so much of games in like the 90s and stuff, or early 2000s PC games, that it's like it has like lots of weird features that I could see a game developer being like, I'm gonna have like, it's partially open world, and there's like a vehicle you can drive, and there's like gun mechanics with different bullets, and it's like sometimes there's all these weird little mechanics, like in was it Simon the Sorcerer, where there's like 40 different commands for how you can interact with an object. Do you want to smile at it? Do you want to laugh? Do you want to smell it? Do you want to pick it up? Do you want to lick it? It's like, there's too many buttons, and it's like old games design where you could tell a bunch of devs were like, oh man, we're going to really push it. We're going to have like this totally new system with this cool new mechanics in it. And then sometimes it's like, you barely use this and it's not very useful, but I have a lot of love for that because it's game developers back in the day just like really trying their best to come up with something new, and you need fascinating 7 out of 10 games.
Sometimes that happens when a programmer is too close to leading the design, because coders like to build things.
Right, build like a mechanic, a system.
Whereas you need someone who's not coding, not like trying to innovate and build something new and shiny, to go, whoa, does that support our core? Like, what does this mechanic add to the situation? You're adding workload, you're adding time. What does this add to our core pillars of our game? Does it fit in? If it doesn't, throw it away.
Right. And this is a solo dev who put his heart and soul into a game and came up with something really interesting. So I have a lot of forgiveness, so to speak, for how frustrating it is to play, you know?
Oh, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm impressed by the game itself. Solo dev, I'm impressed by it. But if I was like talking to them while they're building it, I'd have said, right, cut this bit out. Like, just cut this out. Like, focus on this bit. Like, better to make something smaller and polished than have something bigger and imperfect. You know, you don't want to see the imperfections so much. And like when you're making bigger levels, you're making big open world areas where you're driving around. Because that driving section, I loved getting in the car and driving, but ultimately you could have just cut that out. It didn't really add much of anything to the game, but there was time spent coding the car and stuff, which was, well, I liked it. Yeah. I'd have rather made that its own level where that was a specific part of it rather than a in-between hub world.
I do like the parts of the in-between hub world where like you're driving in the car and it's got the synth soundtrack.
Music is cool. Like, I will say that.
Music's great.
Yeah, music is fun. But like it was like really nice, and then like, but then you have to stop and you'd have to get out and, you know, interview the crow, do a little seance bit, and then get back in the car. And so it's like the vibe kind of got interrupted a little bit, and it didn't really seem like there was much to be gained from it that you didn't get from the other like levels. So yeah, I kind of think that maybe that could have just been, you know, just a direct line, like you get in the car, you drive around or whatever until you get to this next point, instead of like having to stop, you know, bring the microphone out, do the whole thing, because you already do that enough in the game.
I think I would have used the car to make a more intense element to the game occasionally, where you have to drive away from the danger of the smoke or the mist or something that just had a bit more, because the music was really, like, it was a bop.
Yeah.
And as you say, when you get out of the car, it's like, oh man, I kind of wish I could still hear the radio.
I wish it was still going, yeah.
Whereas you had that music on whilst you were kind of like, there was an intense chase going on, you were trying to like avoid obstacles. That's immediately something interesting to then go back into the slower search for notes thing. Like you can have these ups and downs with it a bit more. I don't know. There's things I would have changed about it, but generally, yeah, I think the game was fine. Yeah.
It's okay.
It's the type of game where I'd be like, if somebody's like, "Oh, what's Sylvio like?" I'd be like, "Oh, Sylvio's great," and then they're like, "Should I play it?" And I would respond, "Oh no, don't play it." But it's great.
John
But
Wolf
don't
has
play
a Let's Play of it on YouTube. Watch that.
Yeah, maybe just watch somebody play it for you. Unless I know that they have a lot of patience,
Mm.
and maybe they're like super into horror.
Yeah, I think, yeah. You know, on that note, I do want to kind of touch on the fact that I have played it twice. I've played the original and the remastered, and there are differences, and so I want to talk about that a little bit. Because the remaster is a mixed bag for me. So for those that don't know, the game originally came out in 2015, then I think like 2017 or something like that. The developer just like it was without warning for me. Maybe he talked about it before, but he just kind of updated the game with like a free remastered version. And he like streamlined and simplified the game. So what you guys played is actually a simplified version of the game. However, like I think the mechanically stripped down version is inferior to the original. So basically, here's some things that were in the original game that were not in the remastered game. So first of all the tutorials, they used to have tutorials that popped up and told you like what to do with certain things, like with the controls, like when you get the gun, you have like a little thing like that, but there used to be more detail. And like before the seance, it would pop up and be like, it's time for the seance type of thing. Be like, you have to do this and this and this. And the main game now, like when you do the seance, like in the cellar, you just kind of like walk into this office and suddenly Juliet like pulls the candle out and she's like, "Who are you?" And it's very unceremonious. But in the original, it was like more prepared. And on that note, the seances, you had to like place the candle. You had to kind of set it up a little bit before initiating the seance. It wasn't just like you walked into the room, "Candle's out, who are you?" like it is in the remaster. So the pacing is a little weirder.
Why
now.
did they change that? Because that, like, the seances I thought sucked. Because it's just I listen out, and then I hear the thing, and then it for some reason puts it away, and I have to walk around a little bit, and then I get the candle back out, and I listen again. And I was like, what is the point of this? And then I'd get it, I'd finish it, and be like, you spoke to Daniel in the office. And
right.
That sounds way better to have to, like, put the candle down, turn it into a bit more of, when you find the room in Phasmophobia.
It's
objects go down and you experience the situation.
Yeah, there's a little more preparation for it, because I remember when I first played it, I'd be like, a seance, like what, and you kind of prepare for it before you initiate it. But in this one, like I said, it's been streamlined, like a lot of things in the game, and so yeah, the seances are worse now in the remastered version than they were in the original. Unfortunately, we can't play the original version of the game anymore. But what are you gonna do?
I'm gonna be honest with you. So I knew that there was a remastered version of Sylvio, and the entire time I was playing the one on Steam, I was like, oh, the reason why it's really shitty and hard to work out how to get like your gun out and reload it, I was like, this must be the original. I'm not playing the remaster.
Oh,
I thought we were playing the original.
No,
I was like, that's why you have to read what looks like an instruction booklet in the game to work out how things work.
Yeah.
And it's kind of clunky and hard to use things. And I was like, oh, it's just the original. It's fine.
That instruction booklet wasn't in the original. Instead, at least as far as I know, as far as I remember, instead they had like pop-ups that were pre-detailed and told you stuff.
Pop-ups are better.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, learning curve maybe. Maybe they released it and didn't. Maybe they got some feedback saying that people didn't understand what they were doing, so they're like, "Oh, I'll try something different with the remaster." And it's like,
yeah, I think
figuring out, because I'm not going to pretend that Night Blight doesn't have like a great tutorial, so I'm not going to.
I will say they based their changes on the remaster, according to their Steam forum posts, on feedback that they got to the game with like player complaints and stuff. So the changes that they made were addressing complaints that people had about the game in its initial release. So I don't know. But yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to ask John, so I've heard a lot of negative feedback about Sylvio 2. Did you ever play that?
I'll get to that in just a moment. After
Okay.
Yeah, because Sylvio 2, I do not recommend you guys play. I'm a Sylvio 2 hater. But yeah, so yeah, the seances were really streamlined. There was also a mechanic where, so when you open the lockers and they just open and you get the thing out of it. In the original game, you had to safe crack those lockers by using the microphone. You use the microphone to like listen to the little things as you turn the dial and stuff.
See,
and I thought that was pretty cool.
I'd say that's what I want, because like as I was saying, I wish the sound thing was more of the mechanic.
Yeah.
I'd much rather be cracking lockers than shooting nuts and bolts at smoke monsters.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
I would swap those two round immediately.
Yeah, like I said, the game is now more streamlined than it was in the original, and so some of the heartwarming quirk is gone from the initial release. But oh well.
I wonder if that's like listening to people that the entitled gamers don't really know what they want and what makes a good game, but they have their thoughts.
Yeah.
Whereas I would always recommend, even if something's bad in a game, like by comments, opinions, if you have a vision as a game dev, just stick to it. Like people complain about night lights.
Right.
People didn't like that there was no background music. Was I gonna add any? Fuck off. Part of my game design, I had a vision for there's a reason there's no audio in the background. Like I wanted it quiet.
Yeah. I think there's a couple other things that changed with the remaster. Like the original had scan lines on it for kind of a retro aesthetic that is gone now. The remaster doesn't have that. Instead, the remaster has like updated graphics, which include hands. There were no hands in the original. So like when Juliet is like holding the microphone out, like you originally just didn't see her hand. It was just the microphone. But they added hands for that part. They added like moments where you can see, Juliet's hands or her body in the car, things like that. That wasn't in the original. And the gun looks completely different. Looks more updated in the remaster, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, overall, I just think the original is the superior version of the game, unfortunately.
Is it one of those things where they updated the graphics, but it lost a little bit of its charm?
I think a little bit, yeah.
That's a shame.
My daughter, I don't know if you guys can hear her. She's
a little bit.
Mildly, yeah.
Mildly? Is that?
Yeah. No, it's fine. No, it's fine. It's fine.
Oh, okay. She's probably getting changed right now, or yeah, she probably just had a bath and she's getting changed and she hates that.
Getting cranky.
Yes. Like you would think she's getting tortured in there, but she's just getting clothed. That's all that's happening. So yeah, just real quick, Sylvio 2, I don't recommend you guys to play. It's sad, but it's like
it's a lot shorter.
It is shorter. They made like basically a video version of Sylvio. Like you play as Juliet again, and you do EVP stuff, but there's a video component. But the way it's implemented is not very good, and it's a shame because the Sylvio 2 demo, which got scrapped, was awesome. If you have time, you can look up footage of it on YouTube. It was only like half an hour. You don't have to watch the whole thing, but like I did play it. It's really cool because the way they introduced, like, we're adding video to the EVP stuff, I was like, this is sick. This is awesome. But that version of the game never came out, and instead what did was underwhelming.
Oh.
Yeah, and I'm not even going to talk about the ending to Sylvio 2 because I think it's going to get retconned because Sylvio 3 is coming out and later this year, and it shouldn't be possible based on the ending to Sylvio 2 is all I'm going to say. So I'm interested to see what happens.
So Sylvio 3 is going to start up with Juliet going,
it was all a dream. Sylvio 2 was a bad dream.
That never happened.
Yeah.
They said I died. I did not die. I am still here, alive.
I'm still
Sylvio
here.
3.
Yeah. I'm honestly kind of shocked that they made Sylvio 3 because when I finished Sylvio 2, I was like, they did not want to make this game. This feels bitter. Feels like a bitter. Yes. I'm a Sylvio 2 hater. Like I said, I really like the first one. I know that we don't all like it here, and that's fine. But I thought it was interesting enough to recommend. I think it's a unique experience. But Sylvio 2.
To be clear,
no.
I'm glad you suggested that as the book club game because like it was interesting because there's bits of the game that I find very fascinating. I love elements of the game design, but also I like picking apart and you know me. I love being picky with game design. I'm like, oh, the bits I don't like, I like even more about it because it's fun to pick them up and be like, why would they do that?
Get to analyze it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's something that kind of fascinates me about art, especially when it's one person's vision, is like you can get like an electronic voice phenomena game where you like shoot potatoes out of a musket. Like what? Like who else would make something like this? You know, and you get to kind of just experience someone's idea. So it's kind of cool.
And it was a fascinatingly interesting idea.
I've played competent games, quote unquote, that have bored me far more than the fascinating mess that is Sylvio, where I sometimes didn't enjoy it very much because I was like, oh my god, why was I supposed to know that? Fucking, this game's annoying. I'm trying to shoot these birds with these potatoes. I'm losing my mind.
Shooting the birds, at the flute section, I was like, I'm starting to get tilted.
Yeah. Also, I don't want to hurt these creatures, but you only knock them out, but then you put them in.
That was like my favorite part, though. Like,
kill the birds, kill the birds.
Just birds, yeah.
No, I did. I thought that was really cool how you found the thing earlier where you were talking about basically breaking it down, like how they sent him out to go get the birds.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I thought it was cool. I just
and
didn't
I
want to
later
hurt them.
did to do that. I was like, that's so cool.
Yeah.
I get it.
When I played it for the second time, I was like, I don't remember doing this the first time. And then I went back and watched myself. And the first time I was like, I don't want to hurt these birds. And I was like, oh, I guess I just repressed it.
Because by the end of it, you're like, this is pissing me off.
I discovered that you don't need to hit the birds with the trajectory of the potato. If the potato rolls along the ground and then touches the bird, it still counts. So I just rolled potatoes at them and they all went,
I did too. Yeah, they were
they all
like,
died of the jaundice. And then you put them in like weird furnace-y machines
you burn
to
them.
like extract their essence or whatever.
Yeah.
Sylvio.
It's very inefficient.
Yeah.
The whole operation.
But he was my favorite ghost. The man who saw too much. Weird bird man.
Oh, yeah, Weird Bird Man in the trailer. Yeah.
Him and Lucky Numbers.
Oh, did you guys find any like hidden Morse codes or anything like that? Because there were like hidden blink codes.
No. I did. I found 2 of them, and I put them in the thing. And whenever you do that, it makes like a weird, huge balloon thing.
Oh, those
descend.
things! I did 2 of those. I didn't get them. I thought you meant something else. I was like, no, I did 2 of those or 3.
So I got 2 hidden messages, and it makes like a balloon thing descend with like a guy dangling off of it. And you're supposed to hit the balloon with like spiky balls, but I just couldn't hit it.
Right.
So,
Is it because your aerosol can was old or?
Oh, is it like full aerosol means it goes further?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe that was why. I just couldn't reach. I was like shooting a million of these bullets, and I was like, oh.
You basically
It's
need a
never far
fresh
enough.
can for it, yeah.
Right, okay, because the aerosol thing I didn't really get. I was like, I guess you can permanently run out, but I kept just like, every time I went to the car, it was like I was eating tons of Skittles like a child, just pressing E a lot, and then running away off. Where's the ghost? I'm gonna shoot the ghost.
Yeah.
Pockets full of nuts and bolts.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
All right.
In case you're wondering, I didn't do this the first time I played it, but the second time I got all piano sheets. I got all of them.
I didn't find any.
What do you get?
You didn't find any, Gary.
Okay, they're like right there. Sometimes you do something and it spawns one beside you.
Did I? Maybe I picked one up. I don't remember them though.
It's like the strips that are marked like ... question mark.
Yeah.
I don't think I picked any up.
How is that possible?
No, I think he did, and if we showed you it,
I think you did.
right now, you'd be like, "Oh, those things."
They look like a little worm on the
maybe.
ground.
Oh, I got some of those. Yeah.
I don't know if I picked any up. That doesn't ring a bell.
Doug got some of them.
Yeah, I got some too, bro.
Did I just walk past them?
Elite Gamer Doug got them.
They were like everywhere. You must have.
I found some arcade machines.
I found one
You
of
found
those.
you found arcade machines, but not a single piano sheet.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
You did. No, there's no way you
No,
haven't.
you must have found something.
You just picked them up and
Yeah.
didn't realize it. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe I just didn't process it.
Gary was like, "Oh, a gummy worm.
A gummy worm.
See, I
They
think
do
I
kinda
remember
look
that.
like
Gummy worm
Yes.
collectibles.
Like when you pick it up, it like shows it to you, like right in front of your face. It's got music notes on it. When you pick it up,
I
it's
don't
just
remember
like.
that.
How are you not annoyed walking around and being like, "There's so much shit on the screen"?
Yeah, because they get way marks.
There's always shit on the screen, right? That was annoying. That font. So you mean
Some of the
Yeah,
way
yeah,
marks are
before.
just like question mark, and when you pick it up, it's like a little. Pardon me, it's like a strip of like a music sheet of it. We've explained this like 20 times to you now.
I don't think I picked any of them up, but I found like 3 arcade machines.
just-
Those were awesome.
What the fuck? Okay.
So you were just walking around and you were just like, there's so much shit on the screen. There's so much weird squiggly lines. And then you didn't.
No, it's the font. It's the UI stuff, right? Where it's like go get the hammer. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, some of them have words, and then some of them are just ... question mark, and that's a piano sheet thing. And they often spawn when you like kill a ghost, the same way
Yeah.
that the other way marks spawn.
You must have picked them. I refuse to believe you didn't pick any.
Are you
up.
trolling us again?
No,
Is this whole
I don't-
episode Gary
I
trolls
don't know.
John
Oh,
Sinnell?
maybe I did pick them up.
You probably did. You
I
just didn't
must have.
understand they were music sheets. You just
I was
picked up
pro-
a
yeah.
few and you were like,
I was probably talking to chat and I was
Yeah,
picking
yeah,
them up and talking about ice
You
cream.
must have picked them up. You must have.
I must have.
it's definitely the type of game
You-
that's best played when you're in a weird pensive mood at like 3 a.m. It's not a very like stream
It's not
game.
a very good stream game.
Yeah, because I quite liked it as a stream game because I was able to just talk about bollocks whilst I was driving a car around, having ghosts say gate, tunnel. Okay,
Numbers.
lucky numbers.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just gonna assume that you picked them up. Come on.
Yeah, me too. I'm going to assume too as well.
But I picked up all of them, and so I got all 5 sheets complete. And at the end, there's like a piano that it pans to, and it plays a tune depending on how many sheets you get. And just so you know, if you get all the sheets, it doesn't do anything special. It just kind of plays the full tune, which is not very
catchy?
musical, I will say. Yeah, not catchy, not exactly catchy. And I didn't get it. So, yeah.
I was kind of hoping you'd be like, and it
Curious
starts
about that.
playing the Cantina band from Star Wars. Dun, 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 dun,
That would have been cool. But no, it doesn't do that. It just kind of maybe it's some sort of reference that went over my head. I don't know. But the melody it played, I was just like, this is it. Weird. And then it goes to the main menu. So
I didn't get them all, but I got enough where I was like, Juliet, you could just infer the notes. Come on now, girl.
yeah, you don't
know,
need to get
like,
every
just
single strip.
Figure it out. She's like, I don't understand the notes. I don't know why I'm making her sound like Bjork in my head or something.
The
Don't
notes don't speak to
understand.
me.
The notes that don't speak to me.
Microphone, hello.
I love her voice acting. She sounds really depressed and she sounds really weird. And I think
love
it
her voice
adds-
acting too.
I liked her, but I didn't like Bobby.
I can see Bobby being kind of annoying. I think he was. I ultimately like his performance, but his voice did annoy me. The way
Did
that
Sylvio
it was presented.
kind of get you into doing horror as a career on YouTube, John? Would you describe it as like
No.
a seminal experience in some way? I mean, obviously you knew horror games before that, right? But
I would say Sylvio was a good way for me to be like, wow, just trying out random games that I find sometimes yields something interesting. Because nobody was playing the game at the time. It came out and like nobody knew what it was. It was like one of those games that I found. It had like 2 reviews. It had been out for like a week or something. And I was like, I don't know what this is. Let's check it out. And I think from that point on, like, people weren't really doing that at the time either back in 2015. It was kind of like you did established projects or you did like pithy little 30-minute nothing burgers from like Game Jolt, where like there was just some screamer that was like, ah, and then you could put them in the thumbnail. No, like people weren't playing these like 6-hour mystery Steam games. And so I think if anything, it was one of those moments where I was like, ooh, just picking up random games and checking them out is kind of fun. And now Manly Badass Hero does that every single day. So
yes, the whole industry.
the culture
around it,
has changed. Yeah.
That's cool though. I really like that. I feel like I'm getting a time capsule to what old John's daily existence was actually when I played Sylvio.
Yeah.
And I think it's really cool how much passion you have for the game, but I also realize why after like 10 years you're like, maybe I'll make some different videos for a bit. Sometimes.
Yeah, I'll be honest, like I liked replaying it, but at the same time I was kind of reminding me why I don't like doing this all the time now.
Yeah, like
these
sometimes, but not
games.
all the time.
Yeah.
Shooting these fucking birds with potatoes.
Yeah, it is kind of like, it's charming on one hand for me, but on the other hand, I'm just a little bit like, I don't like having to figure out, like, what was this madman thinking with this wheel? Oh, I have to shoot it off. Okay. Because you have to do that with a lot of solo-developed games where you're just like, what was this one single person thinking?
What did they think
Kind of
made
crazy
sense?
thing. Yeah.
Do
And
you
a lot of people
mind,
don't.
fellas, if we ask Gary what his game's going to be?
Yeah, let's go ahead.
Oh yes, because it's my book club time this.
Not that you
week.
deserve it this week for being a little shit, but go ahead.
Which bit was
Yeah.
that little shit about? Was it the Resident Evil thing? Is that what it was?
The past 2 hours.
Take your pick.
Yeah.
Take your pick.
So this book club entry that I've chosen actually just won 2 BAFTA awards, I believe, yesterday.
BAFTA? I hardly know her.
Oh, too many of these. That's the second one you've given me today, John.
Yeah. First was when you ordered pizza.
Yeah,
Pizza.
Um,
Baldur's Gate 3.
no,
More than 2, right? Won like $1 billion.
Yeah, I assume it won like everything. So the game I'm picking is a game which you may recommend from the Game Awards. You might remember it. It's called Viewfinder,
Mm-hmm.
Viewfinder.
which is a little indie puzzle game where you take photographs and then you are able to position those photographs into the 3D space, the world, to help you navigate around and spawn items in. And it just looks really, really interesting. There's a cat. There's a cat in the game. It just looks very
wow.
pretty. It won a. It looks cute.
No,
it looks
no.
cute.
My audience heard cat and they're already downloading it, so.
But it won awards at the Game Awards, and I think it won a Game Award, an award, and then it's won 2 BAFTAs, I think, yesterday. It looks awesome. I'm very excited. But I haven't played it.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So I haven't played this game either. I've picked one that I haven't played.
Our
So I
first
thought I'd be-
Spine Chill book club experience of all 4 of us checking out for the first time.
Yeah, I figured it'd be
Exciting.
nice if none of us had played it, and it looks cool. It looks very interesting. It looks very quirky.
It's on sale
Unique.
right now. It's on sale
And-
too.
Oh, it's on sale right now.
Yeah, it's on
I mean,
30% off, bro. I just bought it. Literally
Oh.
just bought it. Yep.
excellent.
I already had it in my
30% off.
library because I was interested in it, so I'm
Oh,
excited to
sweet.
have
Yeah,
an
I
excuse
bought
to
it when
play
it won an award at the Game Awards or something. I was like, I want that. I want
Looks
to play that
relative-
game.
It's relatively short too. It's 13.5 hours.
I
What?
saw a
3.5 hours.
few
Sorry, 3.5
Oh.
hours.
videos, I think, on
13.
Twitter.
I said 13. I was like, Jesus.
I did say 13. I don't know.
Holy shit.
You're like
Oh,
relatively
wow.
short, 13 hours. Like bloody
3.5.
hell.
Okay, that's good. Sorry, Sino, go ahead.
I saw some videos on Twitter. And I had the same reaction. A lot of people were like, "Whoa, it's like you take an image and you rotate it and it becomes a platform." And yeah, I'm
Yeah,
excited.
I've wanted to play it since I first saw it. Yeah, I think it's a very me kind of game, but I think you'll all love it as well. I have a feeling we're all going to, but then again, it might suck. Who knows? 2 BAFTAs for
Well,
a terrible game is unlikely, but you never know.
I don't think it's gonna suck. I think it'll be interesting at the very least.
Yes, yeah. I think it'll be a very different game for us to play. A change from Sylvio.
Sino, did you get any Gorogoa vibes from the gameplay slice that you saw from
Yeah.
Viewfinder?
Oh, Gorogoa is such a banger as well.
Because that's
Yeah.
on my. Because John, I own that game since you told me several times to play that one. That one I do want to
Yep.
play.
Yeah.
And yet,
Just
you won't
finding
play Resident
time.
Evil. It's okay, but coincidentally, I've already decided what my next book club pick will be in the future. But until we get to that, yes, I'm very excited to play
Okay.
Viewfinder. Good choice, Gary.
All right, cool. I'm glad.
Yeah.
And don't remember, you can play it as well.
Yes. You have to
I
play it
want you to
too.
play it. You have
Remember, you're included in this.
What will you pick for the book club? We're judging.
Really? You're gonna pick that? We're not playing that.
Kind of cringe.
Yeah. Sorry. Are you done talking now? Can we move on to Dead by Daylight?
Oh, are we doing that?
No.
Yeah, I was gonna say, are we doing that? There's nothing. To
I don't think
talk about.
I've not played it.
PTV came out, was a dumpster fire. Everything was. it
Yeah,
was
twins
late.
were like ridiculously overpowered, right?
Yeah, like the smartest minds in DVD are saying she's actually stronger than the twins who can go through fucking walls. So, or sorry, than the nurse. They can go
Oh,
through
yeah.
fucking walls. So, twins is actually the strongest killer in the game on the PTV. Also, a bunch of stuff was broken. My favorite bug was the one where the pallet spawns with no wall next to it. So it's like a pallet by a car, and then just earth on the other side.
Yep. Yeah.
It's pretty good. And that was they delayed it to get it out in that shape.
Guys, I'm so sorry. I promise I'm not doing this to avoid the DVD section, but I desperately need to pee because I've had too much to drink. So I need to be
Oh,
right
we can
back.
go ahead. We can go ahead and end if you'd like.
Or you could talk about DVD and I can be conveniently out
Let's
of the room
end.
during it.
I mean, we've been
But
going for 2 hours anyway.
I did
so
hear
we
that the
could probably
PTV
just-
was a bit of a tire fire and the twins are ridiculously overpowered.
Yeah.
Yes, they're insane.
I mean,
Yeah.
we got we got time to talk about it again if we really want to next season, right before it comes out, because they got a couple weeks left to It comes out on the, what was it, 24th? So maybe we won't have time.
So
okay.
behavior has a past of not changing things from the PTB to live, right? So something that people critique is like,
they've mildly adjusted numbers and
do
stuff.
you think they've changed that?
They'll
Because
make
I saw the
They're going to tone this
animations.
down. They'll tone
They won't
this
scrap
down.
it. They won't scrap it.
The animation for Decisive Strike is ridiculous right now.
I think when things are like ridiculously completely bonkers, they tone it back. So I think I have faith that they'll do that with this. They won't release twins as like the new best killer in the game, outranking Nurse. Hopefully,
They'll adjust numbers, but I don't think
Well, they
may
may
scrap the rework.
They may even just put her out, like put the twins out to be ridiculous, so they could test it to see how much they have to track it, like pull her back. Like,
That's really.
I don't think it's always going to be
You're
incompetence.
giving them a lot. You're giving them a lot of credit, bro.
It could be a stress test, you know.
I don't mind that. It's just that sometimes it feels like they release stuff on PTB and people are like, "Oh, they're testing it out," and then 2 weeks later they're like, "We haven't changed it. Here it is."
There's who in the DVD community is like, "Oh, they're testing something out," and it's always like, "Boo! This is terrible. This is the worst thing ever. Oh my god!" And then they're all doing just comments and YouTube videos about how it's the end of days. Ugh.
yeah. The DVD community, best to just leave them to their own devices.
Yeah.
We can have fun talking about different things.
Like Sylvio.
Yeah.
The Sylvio
Yeah.
community.
Sylvio. How's Sylvio Twitter? Is it pretty active?
I think pretty dead.
Probably better to read.
We're
Still
gonna-
probably more entertaining and interesting than DVD Twitter.
No,
We're going to
see,
need to break out the EVP equipment for them. That's how dead they
once
are.
again, as per usual, John and I same thought. You think that there isn't Sylvio Twitter, but you haven't reversed the tapes yet. They're talking.
Exactly. They're talking. They're saying under the stairs.
Underwhelming sequel. Underwhelming sequel.
Yeah. All right. Well, on that note, we should probably get out of here.
Let's get out.
Let's get out of here. But thank you everybody for tuning in on behalf of me, John Wolf, Gary the Hot Cross, Sinnoh Beats,
Hi.
Doug Running Man, and you.
You.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for joining us, fellow co-host.
Thank you for all the input as well.
Yes.
It did not go unnoticed.
Or did it? All right. Bye, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Hugs and kisses.
Bye.
Bye.